Welcome, welcome everyone. Another fine day in the end of the world. Welcome. This is Amelia. It's not the government-approved version of Amelia, but it's the version that is now more canon than any other. Because guess what happened? They took the game down. They took Amelia from its indie. They tried to, but the problem is they put it in the zeitgeist. It's there now. They've renounced it by taking it down, which means now it's ours. Our symbol forevermore. Aiden says her cosplay is on the way. Immediately, as soon as this became apparent, Aiden ordered the cosplay. What is this? I have the recipes. Yeah, that's a good one. People are making her a lot cuter than she looked in the game, to be fair, but I think that's for the best. Why did they make her an art hoe? Why did they make her the exact stereotype that you wouldn't see saying those things? I think they're probably just trying to like reverse it. But what they didn't realize is men and women are different. And if you have a woman saying these things, it's cute almost no matter what else is true about them. So yeah, they really cocked up there, didn't they? But I don't mind. Even if she had 6 fingers. Chat, press 1 if you would, Amelia, even if she had 6 fingers on one hand. Amelia Paladin, yes, that has been, that notion has been mentioned. All right, good. So you got this. This is one of my favorites, actually, because this is a very sort of classic British pub scene. Crown and anchor, staff and crown. And then you've got government makes propaganda against nationalism. Government propaganda is now nationalist propaganda. They're not cut out for a propaganda war, not in the slightest. Yeah, so no government is good at this. But to be fair, this was not even national government. It was funded by the national government, but it was put together by a local city's government, a council. So it was never going to be the most competent people involved. But they took it away. They took it down. I wonder why. I wonder why they thought it was no longer having the effect they wanted. But the thing is, if they could have still used it to like root out the wrong thinkers who are like 10 years old and didn't know any better than to click the options they honestly believed in, right? But at this point, Amelia has become such a cultural phenomenon that even they know about it. So it would affect the test. In a social science setting, if one of the things in your test which is meant to be neutrally perceived is now perceived as like strongly good, would that affect the test at all? I think you need to be careful of that. So yeah, that would be their academic reason. That would be their sort of presentable reason for taking it down. The real reason is because they got fucking owned. So yeah, that's good. I haven't uploaded the video of me playing it yet. Most of you've seen it, of course. I did replay it, but I've been busy in the last few days and I haven't had time to. I did a little bit of editing to get that uploaded, and the previous video as well. A little bit of editing, and then I'll upload them onto that channel. I've been slow to get going on that one, but that's because there's a lot of other stuff going on right now. Incidentally, there is a new feature in Cabal, which, like the last one, it is a cool new feature, but most of you are never going to encounter it. It's a system for bans. So if I'm ever away from the PC, say I've just fallen asleep, and then someone posts something in the server that is obviously deserving of ban, then usually they'd have to, moderators would have to just imprison them for like 8 hours until I get back, and then I can decide to ban them. And that's okay. It can restrict their access completely to the server, but many people feel that would produce the impression from outside sources, or even from those inside, that Cabal sometimes lets those people stick around, even though they are imprisoned and they are limited and whatever. They should just be banned straight away. So I've added a system which will allow sort of deferred bans with some voting. And it seems to be working quite well so far. I need to improve the UI, but that's almost ready to go. So that will be available. It also reduces, if they try to do like mass bannings, it reduces the rate that can happen at. After scouring the app sources, I've discovered a set of endings that are not available in play. Declining prevent help. Interesting. Okay, that's quite good. Let's have a look at that. Thank you, Aiden. Who radicalized you? The people trying to prevent me from becoming radicalized. Yeah. Does that have audio? Is it supposed to have audio? I don't know. Charlie declined the help. They felt they could handle it by themselves. Is this AI?
Charlie started feeling that they didn't really fit into any group now, and that they were experiencing a sense of isolation. They didn't take the opportunity to unpack these difficult feelings. Charlie continued to be reserved at college and continued to worry their teacher and parents.
Okay, so that's... Again, you're treating men like women here. Men don't need to unpack difficult feelings. They need to do something active, achieve something, find purpose, and have a few friends. They don't need to unpack difficult feelings. And then there's another one here.
Charlie was furious that the teacher felt they needed support with their political views.
I mean,
Charlie
yeah.
was so insulted that they stormed out and went to see their friend Amelia. Together, the pair increased the amount of content they shared, attracting the attention of not just the teacher, but their parents and police too. By not accepting help in time, Charlie had given themselves an opportunity to break the law with the things they were saying and the actions they chose to take.
Damn, they had an even more based version of Amelia here. It's literally, sorry mate, you're not allowed to think those things. You broke the law by thinking those things. Like, even if they hadn't given us Amelia to dote over, they still fucking did the, they still did the, you better be careful, you don't have too much to think. They still did that. Retards. Yeah, it's easy to solve the double audio issue on your end by just muting the stream and not muting Apprentice, but I have solved it on my end now anyway. Is this the marry Amelia ending? It's closer. That's the end of the clip, though. It's just he went and spent some more time with Amelia. They had opinions, and then the police told them to stop having those opinions. Oh no. Well, chat, if the police tell you to stop having opinions, they're wrong. I can say that with pretty strong confidence. It's not, actions perhaps, but opinions, never. And then they had sex. And Charlie's life improved innumerably. Abortion numbers hit a record high in England and Wales. That's odd. Odd that would increase so suddenly. That data's a few years old, by the looks of it. Either way, they do need to they do need to have sex. Thank you for finding this, though. People can't afford it. Yeah, I'm not saying it's odd that the numbers are going up. I'm saying it's odd that it happened so suddenly, but then those numbers are a couple of years old. Female clips as well. No differences except the character's gender. What's the female version of Amelia?
The teacher reassured, and they would receive some of the had been had.
Oh my god, there isn't one. Or is there?
The teacher realized that if
no, this is not the whole thing. I don't know, actually. That's odd. People do like Amelia. Damn chat. Damn, there she is. They took the game down. They took her from us. They did. Luckily, though, there is now significantly more Amelia content off the game than there is on the game. Final CG for that extra based ending, says Somnus. Okay, here it is. Yeah, that sounds about right. Who was it in chat that was actually literally making this game? I can't remember. Someone said that they were. Ginger is saying that because, we're all very pro non-white, we should only give abortion rights to non-whites. Whites should not be allowed them. It was Cap. It was Cap Stasher. Yeah, that was it. Female's version of Amelia is still... Really? I guess they would just go lesbianism, wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Yeah, I did see that on this. Nobody cared about playing the female character because obviously the propaganda is directed at white men. Yeah, that's true. Then again, I mean, you could argue that the female character that you play as is another base character because you can take her down that road. I don't know if she's as meme-worthy, though. Only thing the game changed was the Charlie model, yeah. they still called them the same thing. They were still using fucking neutral pronouns, plural pronouns. It's retarded. Anyway, that's that. I think there's a little bit more on this, on the Amelia game later in the stream. Then they had oh no, not opinions. All right, next thing. Donald Trump sends his retards. Don't you mean his regards? No. I don't know why this is just funny. Chat, press 1 if Donald Trump has sent his retards, and here we are. Yeah, exactly. We are not retards for Donald Trump, but some of the things he's doing are good. So if we had to pick if we had to pick a leader out of all the political leaders in the world, it would currently be him. But yeah, there's a few misgivings. Either way, when it comes to a few things he is doing, I think a lot of us would be willing to just do our part. When it comes to deporting people, I think a lot of us would be willing to just do our part. Plural pronouns should only apply to fat asses, says Ginger. Maybe so. All right, next thing. Oh yeah, this is something that Daddy Will posted. I assume he made it, but I don't know if this is older. I don't remember it. This is an older version of the Cabal icon. It was the technical canonical Cabal one, as opposed to just the Uzlu one, which is the inner diamond. But I changed that interpretation because this is too complex. But this, I think, is supposed to be a Cabal version of the flag of Greenland. Don't worry, there's no risk of Trump trying to conquer Cabal, Wizard falling into his Polak arc, or that, but then it looks more like the flag of Greenland than Poland, but Poland is a larger country that it also looks like. If you flip it upside down, it's also the flag of Monaco. Not calling you they. Wolf, that's very mean. Even if it is true, or Indonesia. Didn't know about that one. What's this? Yeah, so speaking of Greenland, many European countries have sent personnel to Greenland. And you may be thinking, my goodness, how many thousands have they sent? As it turns out, there are this many in total, which is about 25. Not 2,500 or 25,000, 25. France has sent 15, Germany 13. Oh, that's more than 25, so it's about 35. Norway 2, Sweden 3, not 2 brigades, divisions, squads, 2 individuals. Sweden 3, UK 1, Finland 2, and Netherlands 1. My question is, why? Why bother sending any? The only reason to do this, as far as I can tell, if you're sending 1, then you are saying, we tried, we participated, we tried to do something, we were involved, we tried to defend Greenland. You can say you were involved. But if someone says you only sent 1, well, they might do, but that's just a bit more effort than you not being able to say you did anything in the first place. Of course, the question is, should you want people to think that you tried to prevent Greenland from being taken by the US, since it's probably better for the world if the US has it. But apparently Starmer does. Of course, Starmer would. But there's that famous Labour competence. The whole idea of why on earth, why would you send 1? In what possible situation would sending 1 make sense? You need more support staff than 1 for 1. Because 1 still needs supplies. Any military deployment is going to have some sort of logistics for which you need more than just 1 individual person. Well, I realized a few minutes ago, basically, that this is where they came from, but they're probably forming 1 unified squad. But still, 35 people seems really low for a military deployment to an entire country. I guess it could happen, but it seems really silly. Someone doesn't just send 1 lad, he doesn't even have anyone to talk to. Does anyone else here even speak English? I mean, they will all speak English, but do any of these countries even have English as their first language? They don't. I bet he gets someone with the Norwegians. I mean, no one's not here for me to dunk on. You only need 1 to be a leader, and do you really think they are going to get a Dutchman to lead the efforts with that language? True. I mean, the guy that speaks English speaks the language that the most of them speak. And the UK is also the closest, I think, or nearly the closest country to Greenland. So sure, why not? You can be in charge. I don't see why not. Hitler dude, what now? Yeah. It's about sending a message. Well, then put him home. Send him to his family. I mean, imagine being the family of the 1 person in the country sent to this fucking frozen wasteland for no good reason. Oh, how many others are going? None. It's one of the only times in history, I imagine, there's been a deployment to another country, which is only 1 person. I mean, what is it, Liechtenstein or Luxembourg sent out 88 soldiers to fight in a war, and they came back with 89 or something like that. They came back with one extra because they made a friend. It's that kind of thing. They sent layman, yeah. Okay, come back to the castle, my dude. The only country closer to Greenland is Iceland, and there doesn't appear to be any Icelandics in that assault group. Indeed not. They got deployment patches. I guess. I guess. There's one dude who's going to have a patch. Greenland campaigns. Yeah. The rarest military patch in history. German media calls the 15 guys a recon. Of course it's recon. It's not there for any sort of force. I assume they're just there to assess the sort of defensibility of the island landmass. Is it big enough to be a continent rather than an island? Reconning what though? Well, as I say, I guess just defensibility. Maybe they're looking for existing American like infiltrators, but there's not much chance of finding them. And why would you care? They are to join up with the Spetsnaz. Well, let's hope not. Yup, cold. They know for sure that Trump won't be getting Greenland with force. The only way Trump is getting, I guess, just having them there means that if Trump invades, it's technically an act of war against all of those countries. The only way Trump is getting it is by convincing them to say that friendship ended with Denmark, now USA, as their new best friends. This is literally for show, as if Greenland decides to switch loyalties, they aren't going to force them to return by force either. In fact, Greenland is roughly the size of one Greenland. Roughly, you say? This guy's supposed to be so pissed. Yep. The one guy fell for the naming trick and thought he was going to end up in what's actually Iceland, so he volunteered, yeah. Yeah, he fell for the last victim of the Greenland-Iceland naming kerfuffle. Somewhat mitigated by the fact it's called Iceland. No joke. Iceland has migrant problems, yeah. Most East don't want to move there because they think it's Greenland, just a big ice sheet. Good. Good for them, anyway. Well, there was that one rabbi who was trying to change that image, get more immigrants there. What was their steady response? In the end, it turns out one of the French guys is actually a German from Lichtenau, but nobody got it because he speaks such border gibberish that nobody understands. What a mess. The whole idea of the EU army is so ridiculous, but we're not even part of the EU. Norway kind of aren't either. Why are we sending military? I guess because it's not just EU, it's cooperation outside of that. Interesting. You just missed, Hope, you just narrowly missed him. Missed her, rather. However, I think that is still worth doing. There we go. You were close, though. All right, next thing. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. This is very important.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA. In some way or another, at the very least, we could all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And
yeah, that sounds like what you're saying. That sounds like what you're saying and thinking. Is she Black Woman Cybersmith? Revelon's actively losing brain cells.
Charlie died. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to remind everyone, as Somna says, and I've mentioned before, but right to bring it up, never forget what this negress tries to do, he says, creating a doxing site that was meant to target children for wrongthink. I don't remember it being that specific. I think it could be used for that. I'm not sure if that was what it's intended for or what it mainly would have been used for, but it was a doxing site. Like it was an archival of docs site that would be shared. It was called Social Autopsy, and I can't remember the exact details, but I'm sure you could look it up. We found your wife, but she's black. I doubt he minds.
I said it was related to this organization, and I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly
it should have changed it more than it did. Trump did waste the political capital that he had, or social, either way, capital. He could have done more with it. He did. As I say, like he hasn't done nothing. He has done stuff, but he could have done more. Is Owens Black Amelia? No, Amelia's a lot saner than this.
in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of
Aiden, that's not social autopsy you're thinking of there. That's Candid you're thinking of.
this is one big unhappy coincidence. It's entirely plausible, I think plausible, that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable.
Why do so many people watch this woman? She's so fucking, one, schizo, but two, scatterbrained. What is your point, Candace? Get to it.
But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year when Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked. They freaked out. And their solution was, no, just kill him. Just kill him. We can't have this.
Most of that made some sort of sense, but the time traveler thing seems a bit strange. Can Candice explain why she thinks this? Moments before that was recorded, here she is with some nondescript substances. So permanently comes from black, persecuted, anti-left, vermin, and nothing else. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I don't know what she's on, and I don't want any. Chat, press 1 if you would like some of whatever she's on. Born says women were a mistake. Chat, press 1 if women were a mistake. Next thing. This is how James O'Keefe shows up to dinner dates, and gay leftists will be like, yeah, I'm not supposed to say this, but we're in contract with Beelzebub, the father of darkness, and he instructs us to sacrifice children to him. Yeah, that's basically what it is. We've gone through a lot of these incidents, and we've developed the hypothesis here in Cabal with the help of certain people, which is essentially that a lot of these dinner dates that he and other people have are supposed to be romantic. It's a honeypot, literally. It's who they would want to sleep with. Quite often you'll hear a female voice, someone working for James O'Keefe's organization who is probably attractive or attractive enough that is just there to get information out of them. So there's that. But then sometimes James does it himself. Sometimes James does it himself with men. Never with women, weirdly, but specifically with men. It's still a honeypot, isn't it? And given he's going after leftists, I think it is. And sometimes he seems to be talking with a slight sort of gay voice. So the hypothesis is that James O'Keefe sometimes lets it go too far. In the interest of getting the scoop, getting the really important information, he'll let it go a little bit too far and he'll actually end up inside them, pumping them for facts, And does the false nose disguise fall off while he's pumping them for data? I just don't know. We just don't know. Candace Owens is the Black Cybersmith, says John Wick. Yes, I believe so. She's bringing in the time traveler romance story to play to the true crime women in her audience who eat their stories up. Yeah, that's probably it. So fucking stupid. He's a little better at the gay honeypot op than Sterling Archer is. Yeah, Archer took it a little bit too far. O'Keefe goes deep undercover by parting his hair on the other side. Yeah. Who could it be? All right, good, fantastic, excellent. Next meme, last meme. Ah, yes. Both the UK and the US have had a new waifu in the past week. This is roughly a week ago. We had Amelia, and then we had the Border Patrol woman, whose name we do not know, but who I think we all found very cute. And this was a great moment. That feels when the whole block gets deported. Yeah, exactly. Love blooms on the battlefield. Thank you, Aiden, for stealing what I said about this before the stream started. James O'Keefe low self-esteem. Maybe. But this one's taken. Well, she is now. The border patrol woman. I don't think we know who she is. Perhaps it's for the best that we don't. Otherwise, she would be hunted by the left. Bless the ice couple. We have something on ice today. Ice have apparently flashbanged some children today. That's allegedly what's happened. And sadly, I don't think there's any, not that I'm reveling the idea of there being footage of that, but sadly for the pursuit of the truth, there is no footage of it. We're going to have to read some articles and see what people are saying. We'll see. Achilles, you may have missed it. Some leftist agitators were like shouting at a bunch of ICE assembled at ICE agents assembled at some sort of federal institution. They were guarding the front gate, and some of the ICE, some of the leftists, one of them must have thrown some sort of I think that's a rose, rose. They threw a rose, it landed in the middle. One of the male ICE agents walked forward, picked up the rose while he was being shouted at by the leftists. By the way, very brave. Walked back towards the crowd and handed the rose to a female ICE agent who was at the front of the crowd. It was very cute. It is a rose. I always get them confused, but yes, it is a rose. I assume ICE did nothing wrong until proven otherwise with incontrovertible proof. Frankly, yeah, I lean that way as well. Now, even if a flashbang did hit children, I don't think they intended it to. The people in ICE are not fucking wanton psychopaths who just want to torture children. I don't think so. There's very, very few of them that are that. And if they are, obviously they should be removed. But more likely, because it was in a car got in the middle of a protest for some reason, maybe unintentionally, and then a flashbang was thrown into the crowd and it hit the car. Why were there children in the flashbang range of ICE? Exactly, Ghost. I could see that, and we'll get to this story soon, I could see the possibility of you're just driving through the city, as you always do, with your kids in the car, going to something, and then suddenly, you didn't realize it. You saw maybe some people on the side of the road, you heard some commotion, but you figured, it's just some local shit, I'll just keep driving. Before you know it, you're trapped in an area where there's some sort of fucking activity going on, some sort of fucking protest. People are crowding behind your car now, so you can't even leave, and then a flashbang appears. Like, I don't think that's the most likely answer, but it is possible. But even if that's the case, ICE aren't really responsible for that. We'll get to it, though. Ginger says, I understand that you have only ever seen roses and poppies in Minecraft, but in real life, poppies have 2 petals, whereas roses have yes petals. I think I'll note this down. That's maybe the problem is that Minecraft only has one of the 2. Actually, does it? Did they change that? I can't remember now. They used to only have one of the 2 when I played it regularly. Yes, there you go. Thank you, Dirty Bill. That was the footage. Either way, cute. Next thing, let's go to news now. I don't get used to Ginger. I think back when I played it regularly, it was just a red and a yellow. Corinne is very dumb in the subject, says Revelon. She has he fucking who knows, has a perspective and plays to it. Some of the stories I have today were from Corinne, but when I realized that there's a few too many from Corinne here, I started grabbing from other sources as well. So it's not all black pill anti-Trump stuff, but there are a few somewhat black pill, somewhat anti-Trump stories here. In some cases, there's ameliorations, but don't think about Amelia. All right, let's look at some news stories. Let's start with this one. Netanyahu asked Trump to pump the brakes on US strikes in Iran, according to the New York Times. The report came after the US appeared to shift towards diplomatic means of pressure to stop the Iranian crackdown on protesters. So Trump said, if they start shooting protesters, he will move in and protect them. Then they did. Then a few days later, he said that he would. I don't know if he has yet. Let's find out. Benny Netty personally asked US President Donald Trump to hold off on a US military attack on Iran, which seems odd given that Benji doesn't like Iran very much. The 2 leaders reportedly held a call on Wednesday, which is yesterday. The White House confirmed that the call took place, today for Americans, after the Jerusalem Post asked for comment. However, the White House did not confirm the contents of the call. Notably, that very same day, Trump claimed that he had received information from very important sources on the other side that Iran had stopped killing dissidents. Interesting. Now, I could see an argument for the US not intervening. If the Iranian people will win, then maybe it's better to let them do it themselves rather than do it with US help. I doubt they I doubt they would mind the US help as long as the US does not install a puppet. Maybe Israel wants to have more control of Iran without the US's direct involvement. Not that the US and Israel aren't basically lockstep anyway, but maybe Israel wants to put one of their puppets specifically in charge. Not that I don't think the Iranian people, though they don't like the Islamic leadership, I don't think they like the Jews either. Although I don't know about that. They probably don't like Israel, but they really hate their own leaders more now, but they would want someone in charge they actually want. The king, currently in absentia, using the term correctly for the first time in a year, is who they appear to want. Basically just a leader they already know. What the hell is this, Pug? And why have you posted it? Jesus, Pug. When was Israel in the business of stopping us from invading the Middle East? Could have been a good argument made. It doesn't have to have been a authoritative, you have to stop. Yeah, it was actually used correctly, Ginger. I know, right? Not the old Shah, his son. Okay, fair enough. We were told that the killing in Iran is stopping and there's no plan for executions, he said during a press conference at the Oval Office. That means that the Iranian authorities have way less actual ability to suppress the riots, which means that they're going to win. So, in effect, the US got what they wanted, but they let the people do it themselves rather than intervening militarily, which is probably for the best. A country will probably reinvigorate better if they free themselves rather than being freed with help from someone across the other side of the fucking world. Israel might not want an actual capable regional rival, especially considering Iran might end up as a much better regional ally to the US. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. I did see that Hightail had finally fucking released in some form and that Captain Sparkles had come out of retirement to play it. I haven't watched that video yet, but I might actually watch that. Hightail looked like it was going to be decent, but I don't know if it actually is. It's been too long now, really. On Thursday, the White House claimed that 800 executions were halted in Iran, adding that Trump continues to closely monitor the situation. This term, the closely monitor the situation, has been coming up a lot recently. It's become a bit of a meme. Has been noticed. We'd heard it for years, but I guess it's only been sort of noticed to a larger degree recently. I don't have a lot to say about it really, but it can be legit. There are situations I am closely monitoring. The Iran situation, the Venezuela situation, the White House situation, stuff in Kabul. The situations we're all closely monitoring. But to say it kind of implies nothing. That you're going to just do nothing. That, well, we'll wait until something happens. Which is often true, but that's often how it is okay for it to be. I don't know. I guess that's why it's a meme. It's because it often is said by like feckless functionary political leaders. Anyway, continuing, there they are. Trump pauses US military action on Iran after Netanyahu call. We saved a lot of lives yesterday, Trump said in the phone call with the NBC News on Thursday. The New York Times report came after the US appeared to shift towards diplomatic means of pressure to stop the Iranian crackdown on anti-regime protesters. The Prime Minister's office did not respond to the New York Times request for comment. US evacuated personnel from Qatar base. On Wednesday, some US personnel and aircraft were evacuated from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. Qatar's international media office confirmed. Is Qatar that close? I can't remember how close it is. The evacuation and a raised security warning level were called over fears the Islamic Republic of Iran would target US bases in US Gulf states in retaliation if the US were to strike. I fucking doubt it. If they did at that point, the US would just destroy the entire government. I mean, never mind whatever they'd be doing otherwise. I guess if there's no way the US could escalate, then Iran might. But if there's no way the US can escalate, it'll be a very short war. And I don't think it'd be worth them bothering, to be honest. Save the Persians, indeed. Rename it to Persia. Why not? It's a better name. Chat, press 1 if Persia is a better name than Iran, and press 2 if Iran's a better name than Persia. Someone says, Israel probably doesn't want a speedy or stable resolution to this. They likely want another Gaza war situation that drags on and spirals into terrorism from splinter factions as justification to demand more money from the West for their protection. See, that's the hypothesis that lines up with what I said in the past about what Israel's game in the Middle East is, that they kind of like where they are with Iran right now, that Iran just keeps funding terrorists that keep fucking with Israel, and then Israel can justify both gibs from the West, which is a good point, I hadn't mentioned that often, but also their own authoritarian government being more oppressive. Same thing with Gaza, exactly. So I'm not convinced for sure that's what's going on with Israel in the Middle East, but I suspect it is. So if that's the case, then they must be monitoring closely the situation with Iran because they really want it to go their way. And maybe they think, oh, Trump is too actually noble and good. He will get a good solution to this. And not only that, but one which will be friendly to the US and thus friendly to us. We can't then incite the same level of violence, so Benji might lose his position. And that is, of course, a hypothesis that I was going to bring up. Ghost says Bill is French. No, Bill is English. Which Bill are we talking about? Achilles says, in a sense, renaming it to Persia would be like renaming the UK to England. Also, modern Iran is too retarded to deserve the legacy of Cyrus the Great. Well, the thing is, the UK and England are actually worth caring about. Iran is not. I'm being a little bit facetious here, chat, but the difference is quite significant. I think rebranding to Persia rather than Iran, even if it doesn't quite match what the country is, it's a rebrand. It's for the benefit of them and the whole world. Like, they want to get away from the image of Iran they had before, and they want to go more towards. I've seen a lot of the protesters talking about Persia, using that word. So rebrand it. You may be right, Achilles, that maybe Persia is like a somewhat smaller region than Iran itself, but it doesn't fucking matter. Everyone says it's better considering Iraq is very close and they differ by a single letter right now. Yeah, exactly. If we restore the name of Persia, then the Turks are going to get really uncomfortable. Good. Perhaps a rebrand to Iran Plus. Yeah. What other names would work for that? What other good rebrands are there for Iran Plus? It isn't. They could just change the name so that you have to pronounce it the way Americans pronounce it. So instead of Iran, you have to pronounce it Iran, or is it Iran? Iran? I wrote. I riggers, Raggy. Yeah. I walked. Yeah, exactly, Achilles. Nari, just reverse it. I mean, hell, Nari's better than Iran. Apple could probably buy Iran. Yeah. Yeah, all right. On Thursday, the security warning was lowered, allowing some personnel. So, as it turns out, with specifically the situation of Trump offering military support to the Iranian protesters, nothing ever happens. Some things do happen, but there is a tendency, and it makes sense, for things not to happen more often, because sometimes nothing is the best thing you can do for a situation. The situation we're monitoring, yes, we're monitoring the situation. We're closely monitoring the situation, in fact, closely. Whenever I feel like streaming or whenever I notice. Greece becomes Hellas. Hellas. Yes. Anyway, that's that story. I think for the ICE story, maybe I should do a dedicated recording segment for that. Maybe I should find out more about it first, maybe not on stream. That's the problem, is for the dedicated recorded segments, I should actually know what's going on. And the thing is with that as well, there isn't actually much information because there's no video. It's our main story, but there's no video. I got a lot of smaller stories today. I don't know. I think I had a look over it earlier. I don't think there's much to talk about with it. Then again, the segment doesn't have to be that long, does it? Is there anything else on it so far? Because I haven't seen anything on it. Let's actually gather some more information before I go into it, I guess. So, ICE flashbang. Are we talking about renaming Iran to Pepsi now? Who's this guy? I think I watch his YouTube channel, or have done. It's a shame. Trump says if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators, blah, 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 why are they trying to do their job? Insurrection Act. Yeah, we have that story for later. Okay, that's not the right one. Actually flashbangs into a vehicle, hospitalized 6 kids, airbags deployed. They didn't have to throw it into the vehicle for that to have happened. But no, I don't know what the actual truth about it is. Flash grenades. I imagine they're throwing flash grenades to disperse crowds of angry rioters while blocking their path, to be honest. That's what it usually is. Ice throws flashbang into father's car into. See, that's the question is, did he throw it into the car? Because I could see the flashbang goes off under the car. That could still suffer the airbags. Into the car is quite a lot more serious, quite a lot more difficult. The car would have to be near to where Ice was anyway. Some assembly required. Vill's making it clear with the horoscopic assessments. Vil, I think you gave me some horoscopic assessments last time, and of like my secondary signs or whatever they're called, and one of them was accurate, one of them was somewhat, but then one of them was completely wrong. Yeah, Scott Adams died, by the way. I'll open this and get to it if we can. Let's gather some more data first. So this is a news story about it. Video of ICE agents slipping on ice has gone viral. Weapons discharging. Flashlight flicking along with the weapon. That sucks for them, and it's quite funny that they... There was a flash there. Did they fire the fucking gun? I guess I'll open that. We'll have a look at it. Because that's pretty unprofessional if they fired the gun. ICE in full technical gear raid San Diego restaurants through flashbang grenades. That was from ages ago. That's from last year. I want ICE flashbang stuff from like recently. It's a news story, guys. Reports from January 14th. Protest indicates father claimed ICE agents threw a flashbang into his car, injuring his 6 children. They were hospitalized. That's weird. Family was trying to leave the area, not part of the protest per his account. So we don't know that's true. Man says after being stuck on Nindle Avenue, trying to leave the scene of the chaos. Okay, so this is the guy. Big fat black guy. I guess we'll watch that in a minute. ICE sends children to hospital. Again, this can happen if you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you don't want ICE to have to throw flashbangs, then don't riot. Protest, sure, but riot? That's good, Somnus. Interesting. Not indiscriminately, as far as we can tell, no. Okay, tossing flashbang grenades into cars. Yeah, but are they? All we have is someone saying that they did. We've got nothing else on this. Rioters pouring buckets of water right outside the driveway of ICE. Interesting. Flashbang or smoke. Yeah, I've seen both claims. I expect that there was a maybe a flashbang did land inside the car, but that the smoke was outside, and the smoke came in, but the smoke grenade did not. Okay. The FBI review. That's the current state of things, according to Grok. Not a lot of data on this. Not a lot of data on this. I guess I'll just say that at the beginning of the segment. What's this? ICE agents launched flashbang grenade to protesters. That's not a flash grenade. That's a fucking firework. I don't know. Maybe that is what flashbangs look like outside. Nighttime confrontation outside the Minneapolis Federal Building. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents use flashbang grenades and tear gas. Yeah, so they're definitely using them. I think it's pretty good that they are, given what I've seen the leftists doing to them. Is that the same video? I think so. It might be a slightly better one, though. So we'll use that one. And then flashbang into a car. Is this a video? No, it's Instagram. ICE agents flashbang tear gas. Yeah, that's that as well. Same video. Dangerous flashbang grenades for daring to protest. I'm sure it was just a protest. Yeah, I'm sure there was no. Rioting. It looks like maybe a slightly longer video, actually. Ooh, that's a good shot. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, that's enough for the little video segment that we'll go through now with the car flashbang. God, this website sucks. Can I do this? Sure can. God, it still sucks though. Okay, good. Let's do that then. Can't see any proof of it happening. No, I can't see any proof either. I'll be saying that during the recording. Leftist terrorists are deploying. Yeah. It's a good point, Daddyville. That's a good point. Let's find where I had that open. But the water. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? Yeah, that's good. I can end on that. That's fine. Okay, good. All videos I must watch, and it's just the guy by the car. Yeah. He's just claiming it. We haven't heard anyone talking about it. Anyone authoritative talking about it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, just it's hard to say it did. All right. They shown any burn marks? Good question. I don't think so. They did show that the car had the windows shattered, or seemed to. Well, maybe just pushed down. I don't know. We'll look into it during the segment because we'll watch the video properly. Okay, let's go ahead and record this. What shall I say first? Yes. Okay. Well, Margats, ICE throw flashbang at family car as 6 kids hospitalized, including a 6-month-old baby. Is this what you voted for? Well, let's find out, because there's questions as to whether the story even happened, and of course questions as to why it happened. Generally speaking, though, throwing flashbangs at rioters would be probably okay, but why was the car there? And maybe it's not that innocent. Well, let's look into it. So I will say from the outset, there's not a lot of information on this yet. It's relatively new, and there's no proof either way. But we'll look into what there is so far. ICE agents are accused of flashbanging a family's vehicle as they try to flee tear gas during Minneapolis protests, with claims a 6-month-old baby stopped breathing. Now, I believe we have the actual footage of the claimant here.
Officers threw flashbangs and tear gas in my car and made I got 6 kids in the car. Lord, my 6-month-old can't even breathe. My 2-year-old then flipped out the damn car.
Whoa! The flashbang removed his ability to speak. My God! ICE must be stopped.
This was flipped over. My car filled with tear gas. I'm trying to pull my kid out the car. I'm telling the officer I need ambulance. It took him 5 fucking minutes. He's going back and forth with me, telling me to go back in there and call and tell them to come up Lindale. They can't even come up Lindale.
Were you participating in the protest?
No, I wasn't at all. I didn't care to be, not to say it like that, but I wasn't. Like,
You were just here?
Yes.
You
Yes, I was trying to leave. Officer.
That's the claim. I wonder what the truth of it is. Could be anything. As I say, we don't have any evidence either way of this. But here he's claiming it. Let's read a bit more about this this is from the Mirror. ICE agents are alleged to have used flashbang grenades on a vehicle belonging to a man and his family as they tried to leave their home during tear gas deployment and protests in Minneapolis on Wednesday. A recount of the harrowing incident was shared online. Was posted online with a witness claiming ICE agents just flashbanged and tear gassed a 6-month-old baby. So the question of if the car was there, all right, let's assume the car was just there. They just, there was a riot going on and these guys were trying to leave. Why were they there? I mean, maybe the riot was going on where they lived and they were trying to leave the area in their car. There's questions as to how plausible that is. But I could see it being possible. I'd assume it's possible. Assume it happened. ICE throws a flashbang at the crowd and happens to get it into the car window. Now, why was the car window open? There's a good question. Why was the car window open? I think that a flashbang thrown would bounce off a car window. It wouldn't shatter it. Maybe it would. Maybe. But I reckon it would probably bounce off it. Why was the car window open if they were just trying to leave? Don't know. But if it went inside the car, then yeah, I could see that causing some fucking problems. But the idea they did it deliberately, it's unlikely. Unless, of course, they were trying to use the car as a weapon. But then if they're doing that with their family inside, they are implicating their family. And so at that point, it becomes more of a, well, it's a shitty situation, but I can't really blame ICE for using what they could to stop that from happening. The flashbang, so they happened to be there. The window happened to be open. The flashbang happened to go in. Yeah, that would cause some fucking problems because flashbangs are dangerous. They are meant to be not lethal, but against a baby, yeah, I could see them being lethal. I think so far they've all survived, but I think they're still in hospital. I don't know how critical they are. That happens, right? The idea that would happen and a smoke grenade gets in as well That seems unlikely by accident. The only way that could happen is if it was being done intentionally. And no matter how bad, how little training ICE has, no matter how determined and how fucked with they are, I don't think they're going to throw a flashbang and a tear gas grenade into a car full of kids. I don't think they're at that point. So possible, we'll look into it, but I don't think we're going to find anything that implies that. No matter how, more information will come out about this later, I expect. Well, I don't think we're going to find that's the case, and we're going to find quite the opposite. In all these stories, it always ends up going more to the right narrative as time goes on. But that it is a weird series of events, isn't it? I think more likely is the flashbang and the smoke grenade blew near the car. Again, why was the window open enough that it filled with the gas? Maybe it did. But a flashbang going off underneath the car, say, I'm pretty sure that would set off the airbags. Don't know, not my area of expertise, but I'm pretty sure it would. And it also makes such a loud noise, and even from underneath, the light would probably be apparent, but the noise and just the shockwave and the airbags blowing and all the stress could have the effect on the kids that was described. Maybe they took them to hospital without needing to, or just a precaution, I don't know. If the flashbang got in the car, that would be bad. But if the smoke got in the car and the flashbang happened under it, then yeah, that would be enough, I would imagine. I mean, a baby being tear gassed, that's not good. I would imagine that could kill it. So that's more likely, I think, is neither of them got inside the car, but both got near the car because the car was in the middle of the riot. That's what I would guess happened. But again, I don't know. We don't have much to go on here. I'll keep reading, but we don't have a lot of concrete information. Flashbangs do produce smoke. If it was a tear gas nade, they would have not been able to stand next to the car. True, it could be that. She further explained, ICE agents began tear gassing a residential neighborhood after shooting a man nearby. See, we have something on the shooting story as well, but the way that's presented is very much, for no reason at all. I don't think it was for no reason at all. As the gas spread, a family got into their vehicle to escape the tear gas. If they just stayed in their car and closed the windows, surely that would have been enough. Surely bringing your whole family out of your house into a vehicle and then driving away through a crowd of people, that's a really stupid thing to do, surely. Here's the question. Were they in a house? That black guy we just talked to, he didn't seem like the kind of guy who'd be, high IQ, valuable worker to have a nice house in what is otherwise, I think, mostly a white neighborhood. I don't know exactly where they are, but most of these places in Minneapolis have been. How was he behoused? Again, maybe it's just like benefits or whatever, but him and his family of 6. A present black father. What's the real story here? What were they doing there? Why couldn't they just stay in their house and close the windows? Maybe the glass got shattered. He didn't mention that, did he? You would have thought he would, but he didn't. I don't know what he was doing. What was he and his entire family doing there? We've never seen the family. It's getting weirder and weirder, this story, to be honest, chat. It's getting to the point that I'm thinking, was he just there? Maybe he was stealing a car. I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions here. And I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm just proposing. But it's a weird story. There's a lot of things that don't quite add up here. Tear gas from around, ICE was smoking up the riot. Yeah, exactly. If you had all the windows in your house closed, the tear gas would barely get in. You just go in the back of the house, or even in the back garden or yard, as Americans would call it. On a grocery run during the riot, isn't that a normal thing? During a riot? No, not really. No, again, this doesn't really make any sense. There's a lot of things here that don't make any sense. Let's keep reading. As in the video, a man is seen standing in front of a car with airbags deployed on all sides, explaining that he told the agents he was trying to leave his house. By the way, to mention, it's perfectly possible that this was just not even his car. He just made up this lie. Maybe he is like either a professional activist or just a pathological liar, found a reporter and just made up a story on the spot. He didn't look to be lying to me, but it's very hard to tell. Explaining in the video, the agents were trying to leave it. He told the agents he was trying to leave his house with his family because of the tear gas. It comes after an out-of-control ICE agent yelled a disgusting 3-word slur before shooting a woman 5 times. Did you say fag by any chance? Well, we'll have a look at that. Let's have a look at this. Despite this, an agent threw multiple flashbang grenades at the vehicle anyway while children were inside. See, that's a little hard to believe. It's a little hard to believe. Inside the van with a 6-month-old infant who stopped breathing after the attack. EMTs were called and taking the baby in an ambulance. Okay, that's not it. This was not a chaotic crowd encounter. The family was intended to leave, not confront officers. Federal agents are creating danger and then punish civilians for trying to escape it. I just don't find myself believing this narrative. ICE are not angels, but this is kind of absurd. I don't think this is true, but if it is, find the ones that did it and prosecute them to full extent of the law. You know, if it really is just, hey, officers, hope you don't mind. I'm just taking my entire family out in this car for a while. Hope you don't mind. And gets in the car and ICE just suddenly starts fucking multiple flashbangs straight through the open, for some reason, windows. It just doesn't ring true, does it? In the footage, the man involved can be heard saying, the ambulance is bringing my newborn out of the house. He can't breathe. Out of the house? That's different. I don't think I've seen that footage. The interviewer asked, how old? 6 months. Officer was trying to leave. The man replied, the officer knew you were trying to leave. Yes, the officer knew I was trying to leave. He's an ICE officer. Yes, he confirmed. Okay. Involved in shooting protesters. Yeah, I think this is just a sort of... This is the Mirror, which I think is more so it's a tabloid, but I think it leans left. So the rest of this is sort of backstory. There wasn't a shooting as well, another shooting. Agents, disabled woman from car, that's different as well. That's another example of shooting. In all these cases, there probably was a justification, but these are coming thick and fast now. The whole George Floyd thing, where you had this one incident where it looked bad, those kinds of incidents are coming thick and fast, arguably too fast for the press to keep up. And to be honest, I think most people are okay with that. Because in most cases, ICE probably are justified. In all the cases before they were, all those cases back since 2014 of police, quote unquote, brutality against blacks, in every single one, except I think we looked into one where what they did wasn't justified. In every single one, what the police did was justified and the blacks were in the wrong. And they were presented like angels by the press. So I don't know, man. I lean in that direction for this one. But I'm curious if there is any more footage that we haven't seen. This seemed to be implying that there was. Let's go back to the actual version of the site and see if there is a video that we can play. So that is an image. I think we saw that, though. We saw that footage. Consent. I consent to you playing the footage, but I don't think it's going to. Oh, well. Let's look at other things then. This is the same topic, but also doesn't have video. Does this one have video? I don't think it does either. None of them should have the video, weirdly. If anyone has the video, let me know. Second ICE shooting, I believe that's a different one. Children hospitalized after flashbang, tear gas hits van. Zoom in a little bit on this. Okay, so is this a video? It's not going to play the video, weirdly. Not sure why. It's refreshing it. Get it again. People who support ISIS work want illegals removed one way or another. They would prefer deportation, but won't mind the other method either. Yeah. And that's probably how it should be as well. Let's try turning this off. See if it's just a VPN thing. Will the video play with the VPN off? I don't think it will. All right, let's not bother with them. Family was causing clashes between protesters and law enforcement during protests in North Minneapolis, etc., etc. What they're saying, the father, Sean Jackson, Fox News reporter, children at the scene were hurt. Officers threw flashbangs and tear gas in my car. 6 kids in the car. 6-month-old can't breathe. This was flipped over. Yeah, we saw that. His wife, Destiny, told Fox 9 their 6-month-old infant stopped breathing and lost consciousness. She then performed CPR on her baby. Really? Was she a nurse or something? How did she know CPR? While others poured milk on her other children in an effort to neutralize the tear gas. How did they know to do that? 3 of the children, including the baby, were then taken to the hospital by ambulance for treatment. All of the children are between 6 months and 11 years old. Destiny says they have never gone out to protest, but this incident has given her the drive to do so. Really? Your kids got hurt, so you're going to do that again? Well, don't bring them next time then. My kids were innocent, I was innocent, my husband was innocent, this shouldn't have happened. Destiny said we were just trying to go home. The story keeps changing. But as far as I've been reading it anyway, you were already home, you were getting in the car to try and leave, but now you were just trying to go home. What? Can someone explain this? Driving your family near a riot is at the very least extreme negligence. It sure is. North Minneapolis ICE shooting prompts protests. Yeah, can we get more on the specific incident? I guess they don't have any more. So again, that's strange. She's saying we were just trying to go home, but another source we just read said that they were coming from home. I'm not seeing any sort of a consistency here. Let's see what this is, though. So this is ICE throwing flash grenades. This is a protest recently.
Oh shit, they're throwing more. My bad, my live ended, guys, my bad. Oh fuck, that scared me.
The person speaking sounds like she would be a prime target of ICE, to be honest. Next thing.
Are using chemical irritants, they are using flashbangs. We also talked to an individual who was not involved with the protest, and he was just trying to get his kids out of the neighborhood. He had 6 kids loaded into his car, including a 6-month-old, when law enforcement threw a flashbang at his car, and now he has told us...
The story keeps changing. What it sounds like now is he was already out with his kids, was trying to go home, is what his wife said, trying to go home, for some reason drove through the protest area, got the ICE, for some reason his windows were open, somehow a flashbang got into the car, which probably would have killed an infant, to be honest, if it was that close, and a smoke grenade got into the car as well somehow. He stopped the car, which again is also a bit strange, because if there's enough people around, you'd think you wouldn't keep driving. And if there's no people around, yeah, you might drive into the area not realizing it's a flash zone, but then you wouldn't stop. Surely you'd just try and leave. I mean, most people would panic at that point and drive faster. I don't know if that's the case. It's not really adding up. And then, but earlier he was saying that he talked to ICE officers before getting into the car. Maybe he was out with his whole family. The car was parked nearby. He tried to get in it to leave, to go home, and then it was flashbanged as he drove away. Then it comes down to, well, that narrative kind of works, but it comes down to, I guess you would, if the car was in a dangerous place like that, you would at least consider getting into it, driving it away, especially if you've informed the police that's what you're doing first. Perhaps the flashbangs were not meant for his car. Perhaps someone didn't get the memo. Perhaps they didn't believe him. I would be slow to believe someone who said, oh, we're just leaving with the car. But if they have the whole family with them, maybe they hadn't seen the family. Maybe he told the family to get into the car, then went and talked to the police. But surely the police were busy, kind of busy right now. I don't know. There's a lot of things about this that are strange. There's a lot of things about this that are strange. I don't think it quite adds up.
All 6 of his kids were transported to the hospital. We saw EMS come in. We expect that they are going to be okay, but obviously that father tonight is very worried about his kids. When he says he wanted nothing to do with this protest, he was just trying to get out of here when he got caught up in all of this. So it's a good reminder that this is a neighborhood. People live here. And right
then why are they rioting there then? It's not ICE's fault the riots are happening. ICE are doing their job. They're enforcing the law of the land. They're enforcing the fucking constitution. Just jogging, yeah. I don't know, man. We're not gonna be able to answer the question today. We're gonna get more information, I expect, about this. But I expect the more information we get, the worse it'll look for this guy. Either his story doesn't add up, or at best it'll be a mistake. Probably none of the grenades actually entered the car. But even if they did, why were the windows open? Well, this is, oh yeah. Now, this is not directly related, but it is also about ICE, and there's a question as to what happened here. So let's watch. ICE agent slips over on what seemed like tarmac, but was actually ice covered, and there was a flash when he fell. And the flash was definitely, I would say, the gun discharging. Now, I have several questions. Question 1, why, his hands were off the gun. Why would a gun fire just if you're falling? What gun does that? It's a flashlight. Is it? It came on and off in one frame. So I don't know about that, chat. One frame. It wasn't on an impact. I don't know. Maybe it's very round. Maybe it's a flashlight. It's a single frame it's on for. I don't know, guys. It might be a flashlight. Let's watch it again. No, it's the gun. Look where the muzzle is. It's definitely the gun. It's definitely the gun. Gunshot would have been less targeted. It was definitely the gun. Unless the gun has a flashlight attachment that came on for a single frame in the same direction as the gun was pointing from the same place, because that light is definitely coming from the barrel of the gun, as far as I can see. Melkathon says that's not what a gunshot would look like, but that looks like it's what it is. Gun has a flashlight mounted, but why would it only come on for a single frame? It really looks like the shot is coming, like the light is coming straight from. What's this bright spot here? Most of chat saying that's a flashlight. I don't think it is. Thank you, noted firearm expert Oozly, for this dissection. I don't need to be a noted firearm expert to see that the light is coming from where the fucking barrel is. It is exactly where the barrel is. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, chat. That looks like, to me, the gun discharged. Okay, maybe it was a flashlight. But if it was, I don't know why it came on for just one fucking frame. But I could also see that the ICE agents are not very well trained because they've had to employ a lot of them very quickly, and that this guy did not have the safety on his gun. But then why did it just go off? I mean, maybe it bumped into him as he was falling in that frame and that caused it to fire. But guns shouldn't do that. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to fire when you pull the trigger. I will link this to you in chat in case it's not coming through very clearly. But I do think it was the gun, chat. Thank you, Lumineers, who says, "Oh, Amelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the storm. Oh, Amelia, heaven help a test who falls in love." Thank you for that contribution. And Amelia, Deus Vault or something. The light on the gun lit up. But why just for one frame? And why does it have what looks like a muzzle flash right there? Like a straight little rod of light. It's odd. Anyway, next thing. Yeah, we watched that, and then so this is Grok's summary from actually from about 24 hours ago now. Reports confirm ICE agents in Portland used a flashbang near a car with 6 children during the operation, hospitalizing them. Was it in Portland? Okay, I thought it was Minneapolis. Maybe Grok is wrong on this. Separately, a protester was shot in the leg after allegedly attacking agents. The Minneapolis shooting of Renee Good is under FBI review. That's interesting. Maybe so. Here's footage of, it's a good shot, isn't it? ICE randomly attacks crowds. I'm not sure randomly is the correct term for it. I believe the correct term is repels crowds. I mean, we've seen what they've been doing. We've seen that there have been riots. But even protests can obstruct in a way that is that needs to be stopped.
Yep. Whoa! Whoa! Shooting serious munitions.
So I don't know if those are flashbangs or if they're just like firework style bombs. If they were flashbangs, the light would be a lot brighter, I think. Then again, they're designed for in close quarters, so you guys would know better. But I think with the sparks, I don't think flashbangs put the sparks out. I might be wrong, though. Should we be blind if it's a flashbang? Yeah, again, I would have thought so. I think it's probably just crowd dispersing small explosives, which are on a par with fireworks. FBI is investigating Renee Good's lesbian partner, pending possible charges of felony murder. Yeah, death resulting from the commission of a separate crime. Interesting. Interesting indeed. All right. Next thing. More flashbangs. We've seen how leftist protests act. We've seen how leftist rioters, protesters act. We don't have enough information to say, are ICE just bombing protesters for protesting? You're not allowed to protest in this country anymore. I thought this was America. No, well, I don't think that's what it is. If it is, it's most likely because they are protesting somewhere they're not allowed to be, like on federal property. I don't know. Until I see some evidence that they're doing it wantonly for no reason, I'm going to assume that the left is acting like the left always does in these cases, and that ICE has at least some justification for clearing them. These are not flashbangs. They're not using military munitions. This is just crowd dispersion stuff. That's all. a non-zero chance these are fireworks brought by protesters. That's a good point, actually. Maybe they did it just for the footage. It's perfectly possible. Because they're not harmful. The tear gas is probably from ice themselves, though. Fuck. That smoke grenade appeared to come from... I guess it could have bounced.
We're moving forward.
I think that guy was hit in the back with one. So it can't be too fucking dangerous, can it? If he was hit in the back with one, it just didn't affect him at all. So, yeah, that's... Boom. Yeah, I think that was it. So it can't be that dangerous, can it? It just went right next to him. It basically fireworks. Yeah, exactly, Somnus. Yep, there's that. And then that's a good shot. A good photo with Pickle Rick. Why the hell was Pickle Rick there? What was Pickle Rick doing there? Pickle Rick took a flashbang tonight. Is that a phrase you were expecting to hear in 2026? Well, now you have. Let's see. Yeah, similarly, rioters are pouring buckets of water right outside the driveway of ICE Minneapolis in order to make agents slip and fall when they're attempting to make arrests. Yeah, so that's not protest anymore. That's justifying a response. And then the leftist terrorists are now deploying the tactics used by Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Little do they know, Trump was there the whole time. That, as far as I know, chat, is all we have on that story for now. I will closely monitor the situation and will report more as we learn more. Until then, join the stream for more content, or I'll see you in the next segment. Farewell. There you go, segment over. There's a bit more on ICE specifically, but I probably didn't need to include the extra stuff in that video because it was just about that one incident. But it was probably going to be very short otherwise. Clashes in US city after second ICE shooting as Trump threatens to invoke Insurrection Act. Minneapolis has become a major flashpoint in the backlash to Donald Trump's immigration enforcement, with the fatal shooting of a woman in the city having led to competing narratives about the conduct of ICE agents. And I believe that's either the woman herself or, well, that's, never mind.
This is a very dynamic scene here on the ground in Minneapolis. It's exactly a week since Renee Nicole Good was shot dead by an ICE immigration officer. Less than 15 minutes drive away where I am on this street, another person shot in an immigration raid. We believe it's a Venezuelan man who was shot in that operation, not a fatal shot. We believe he is injured though and being treated in hospital. I've also just been speaking to a gentleman who says that his family, a car with 6 of his children inside, was maced by...
She also spoke to the same guy then. Interesting. I'm out of Monster. Damn. I have to get some more from the fridge.
By ICE immigration officers. The protest that sprung up here, they've been trying to disperse it by firing pepper bullets and mace and flashbangs. Well, this gentleman says he and his family were unwittingly caught up in that mace got into the car. He said his 6-month-old baby, a 6-month-old baby boy, couldn't breathe. And so he has been...
Yeah, we got all that already. If we don't let deported illegals back in and legalize them, that means we need to kill the entire world, including ourselves. Is that what Hope is saying? I don't think that's what Hope is saying. Yeah, I'm fucking instantly. Yeah, we don't know why they brought a toddler to a riot. Like, that's the thing. We went over that just now. The vaguely possible that it was by accident, but it still seems a little unlikely. It's not like you would drive up to this and think, oh, that's a normal street. Nothing's happening there.
Taken to hospital, that father praying, hoping that his son will be okay. But you can really sense, or I have been sensing over the past few hours, the level of anger here being directed at ICE agents. People in Minneapolis say that ICE simply has no part in their city, and some people here going.
All right, so here we have the libertarian narrative from the other side. Whenever you want to say you shouldn't have to pay taxes and you just want to go and live in a cabin in the woods, and what does the government do for you? Why should you have to pay taxes? That's understandable on the surface. A little bit behind the surface is yes, but the country is not currently being run by a different country. You are granted the freedoms and the policies you have, whether they're good or not, but those are available because it's not currently being run by someone else. You're not currently being invaded. You are afforded the freedoms that you have because it's a country, and that's why you pay taxes. Similarly, here, you are in a city which is in the United States of America. Therefore, the laws of the US apply to you. So shut the fuck up. ICE do have a part in running your city because that's the law. They are enforcing existing laws. So fuck off. And that is quite obvious. Right, anyway. Oh, that's better. Fantastic. So, chat. ICE shootings.
Inside what they believe to be a car being used by ICE immigration agents and smashing up the things that are inside. As I said,
look, it's not even a protest, is it? No one's here chanting or waving placards. If there are, they're not in frame. Maybe they were earlier. It's just people hanging around waiting for something to happen. And this is just like opportunists, probably professional activists.
A very fluid situation. Every so often, some of the protesters launch snowballs or even fireworks towards the immigration officers, and the immigration.
So the fireworks were from the protesters then. So all those posts saying ICE are using flashbangs on the protesters, it was actually just fireworks being launched by the protesters. Which means basically it converts from a protest into a riot at that point. Like, the weapons aren't dangerous enough to really hurt anyone, but they are still weapons. And you don't know it's not about to get worse. So your justifications are just reducing ever by the moment here. The liberal cries out as he strikes himself. He sure does.
Officers are responding. The immigration officers have responded with these pepper bullets or with flashbang devices.
We haven't seen them. We've seen blasts that look more like fireworks. I haven't seen them use flashbangs at all yet.
I was speaking to one lady about the general tactics being used by ICE in Minnesota. There are allegations of racial profiling that ICE officers are simply...
I could not care less. For one thing, most of the illegal immigrants they're having to deport, that they are literally, that it's their job to seek out, are brown. So I could not care less. There are so many more and more important things than that.
Seeing people on the streets who aren't white, and they're plucking them from the streets, putting them in their vehicles until they can prove that they are in fact American citizens. And she was saying that atmosphere, she said...
you know what could be causing that? Is if they're taking people that are violent and that correlates with non-whites. Isn't that interesting? Trump deport and ban this woman. She does have an English accent. I assume that she's not American citizen.
Feels to her more like 1936 Germany than it.
Where is that meme of one person on one side of the bus thinking it's like 1930s Germany, and another person on the other side of the bus thinking it's like 1930s Germany? Neither is completely accurate. The first one is closer, but it's like 1930s Germany. They are deporting people who should not be in the country. Now, if they are doing anything to anyone else, then that may be unjust. but there's a procedure for that. And if there isn't, well, then that's the problem. But there probably is. As with any time with police, if they have wronged you, then you can win in court. And if they are wronging you, the correct answer is not to organize all your friends and wrong them back. It's, maybe you win, but more likely you don't. And if you're fighting the federal government, all you're going to do is create chaos, which of course is what these people's masters want.
Does America in 2026. So a huge amount of sadness here at what has happened this evening. As you can see, police preparing to deploy. We're just going to move back here. They're preparing to deploy the pepper gas, which is incredibly corrosive. And so we're just going to move back with the crowds. I don't.
Chat, can we find the violent bottom meme and just post it as a reply to everything Hope says? Because Hope's just said, if they weren't born in the US within the last 30 years, they should die. It's a bit radical, Hope. And Hope is not saying that because he is politically radical. He's saying that because he thinks extremity will get him noticed, which unfortunately it has. Sola says, Hope is now arguing that if someone entered illegally because they're literally too retarded to understand they weren't doing things the correct way, then we should let it slide. Is he saying that? Because that would apply to him. Fuck eyes, hey, are you a citizen? You got any ID? None of your fucking business. Okay, then you're under arrest. Well, I guess if they're there protesting, there's a fair chance. Actual interaction that has taken place, I'm sure. SWAT issued flashbang. Surely it would have been more useful to just rename Hope to Aiden. Aiden's not quite that radical. Yeah.
I actually think that they did I don't think they did deploy any pepper bullets on this occasion.
So yeah, I want to make it clear with the, yes, police officer is a job that draws in people that are attracted to having arbitrary power, definitely. I don't know if it's the majority, but you're going to get a lot of people like that. So in this case, I'm not doubting that it could be true that they just optionally flashbanged a car they knew, the maximum evil version of the narrative. Could be, but in all these cases, it always ends up being not that. Always ends up being that the left exaggerated or were themselves much more evil. So that's what I'm waiting to hear, exactly how and why that happened. I have not seen the right in the one day be just completely optionally evil.
But every 5-10 minutes, that's what's happening, and that's why you saw that level of panic from the crowd here.
Thank you, Sky News. Why is the full story first so badly rendered? The fuck? By law, an officer can perform investigative stop based on nothing but his intuition. If after that investigative stop, said officer can articulate specific probable cause for arrest, he can now effect that arrest. Yeah, can. They were saying that it was being done to racially profile or something. I don't really care. Trump has threatened to use the Insurrection Act to deploy troops to Minneapolis after it again became the scene of protests against federal officers sent to enforce an immigration crackdown. Protests broke out in the Minnesota city on Wednesday night after a Venezuelan man was shot in the leg by an ICE officer just miles from where Renee Good was killed. Protesters had assembled near the scene of the shooting and were met by federal agents and police officers who fired tear gas into the crowd. Again, why did they fire tear gas into the crowd? By early Thursday, only a few demonstrators and law enforcement officers remained at the scene. Trump said in a social media post, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that has taken place in that once great state. It would be interesting to see, wouldn't it? It would be interesting to see. I don't think he will. I doubt he'll need to, but he might. I doubt the state are actually going to do anything about it. But it would be a happening, wouldn't it? If he insurrection acted it. Has he done that before? I don't think he has done that before. Would that mean that he could just overrule the state's authority in Minnesota? That's a bit risky, but it's loud at least. While pure racial profiling is illegal, if profiling is a bit deeper than race, for example, brown Muslim attire, aggressive and belligerent, then it's awful. Yeah. They probably know that. Again, maybe some of them are unjust, but it's racial profiling is unjust on a level that I don't care about. Flashbanging children, I do, but then I don't think they did it deliberately. Trump should federalize the National Guard and recall Tim Walz to active duty and order him to deploy. That would be very funny. I'm not sure if he can do that. The fact you're saying it means maybe he can. I'm sure that there would be a conflict there where that's never happened before, and it would have to be decided, maybe even Supreme Court, but they'd have to make a decision very quickly. Maybe initially Trump would have the authority on that, even if Supreme Court could later arbitrate that it was not supposed to be possible. John Wick says, Minnesota was never great, just a bunch of off-brand Germans with Canadian accent, but that was a fuck ton better than the method is now. Government officials can be recalled to active duty. This is legal precedent. Fair enough. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said he would challenge any such deployment in court. The president's, well, that's not going to do much, is it? It's federal. I'm sure that the southern states in the Civil War would have loved to challenge it in court and overrule it, but you can't. It's federal. The president has repeatedly threatened to invoke the rarely used federal law, which dates back to 1807, to deploy the US military or federalize the National Guard for domestic law enforcement over the objections of state governors. Minneapolis has been the focus of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, and tensions have flared since the shooting in Good. She was shot in her car by an officer. Yeah, don't bother saying what she did to earn that, Sky. The Trump admin claimed the officer acted in self-defense. Okay, to be fair, they are saying it here, but with a big gap for some reason. The vehicle as a weapon and a version of events rejected by state and local officials. Yeah, but what's actually true, though? I mean, it's true. Like, she did turn her wheel towards him, skidded, and then turned it away and continued. Something that I did notice while we were talking about it before, but I didn't factor it in properly. H. Star Tlur says, I feel honored that Western media is identifying me with minimizing harm. I suppose so. I mean, they could just be shooting them, couldn't they? But they're not. So the two contributors, by the way, you haven't given your name. So I can't immediately grant you Cabal credit, but DM me if you are one of the contributors, and I will grant you the credit. I'll be able to check. I think I roughly know who's who. I'll be able to check who it is. Ah, yes, Eric, that is very edgy. Aiden says Uzlu is extremely Scorpio coded. It's unreal. Are we just going through the men are talking about politics and the women are talking about horoscopy? Is that what we're doing here? That is to be expected. Chat, am I extremely Scorpio coded? Butt out. I'm being ejected from the horoscopy conversation. No, Ghost. I think she's talking about someone else. So here's the other shooting. Oh, that is the good one. Not good in that sense, good in the other sense. I don't know if there is actually footage of the other shootings. But yeah, this is gay and cringe now. I'm going to move on to the next story. But I don't know if ISIS is doing a good job in all of these cases, but I think overall what they're doing is necessary, and some conflict, some friction, some chaos is inevitable for the scale of the job they have to do. So yeah, it's probably on aggregate still a good thing, and even though there may be cases where they would be in the wrong, in general, they shouldn't be stopped. And in fact, if Trump thinks it's right to push even harder, willing to believe him. No, you don't, Hope. You're doing it because you want the attention. You don't want to piss people off. Right. That would be a version of events that gives you more agency than the truth. So next thing, here's a very serious story. Man trains crows to attack MAGA hats after saying there's no longer a moral option. So the crow is the nuclear option then, I guess. A man has gone viral after training a murder of crows to swoop down and snatch MAGA hats from unsuspecting Trump supporters, documenting his months-long experiment. Well, that's a fucking retarded story. Is there any meat on this? Could I make this into a recorded segment? I maybe should just do a recorded segment for every story I cover, shouldn't I? For the news. Of all law enforcement agencies, ICE has the lowest rate of injury or death per interaction as far as I know. That's interesting. That may be because of how they record it, though. I don't know. Post it as a short. I guess I could do. The screen resolution it won't work for that. The aspect ratio. But yeah, I could just do like probably what I should do is every story I cover should just be a recorded segment, but then there'd be less community interaction. It doesn't have to be actually. It's really a bit more focused. Really, the thing that breaks the segments is tech issues. Horoscope, exactly. Look, if you're going to talk about horoscopy, the least you could do is talk about me and my horoscopy, all right? Anyway, I'm very humble, as you all know. We were, earlier. Your fetishes to yourself. It's a good point, Mafaku. Imagine wasting that much time training a crow to steal hats and not something like food or money, yeah. Pisces moon emotional. Vil, I'm not emotional. I'm very non-emotional. Ghost says, when will Oozlu be scoping a whore? Ah, get it, horoscope. Very good. Every segment should be shitting on hope. Well, that's the bit we can do between segments, isn't it? He says this, but... What? I'm not. Tell me, Aiden. Tell me that I'm emotional. You can't do it. It's not true. Is horoscopy similar to a colonoscopy? They have some similarities, yes. What did Hope do exactly? Violent bottom. Someone find the meme for that. Ignore him. His inner Frenchman's coming out. Dad to Bill, well-known Frenchman. I'm not sure about that, Dang. See how he got triggered. I'm not sure that's quite what happened there, Aiden. I think I was just disagreeing with you. Never seen a more emotive man than Oozlu, says Ghost. Yeah, as if I'm completely just consumed by emotion and the broiling conflict of feelings and passions. No, not really. Thank you, Dang, for posting that at long last. Yes, that is Hope depicted in that picture. But I don't think it's coupling number of interactions between officer and member of the public and the number of investigations caused by officer causing injury or death. Not quite sure. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is very hyperactive. I don't think they're writing it all down. Virgo rising. I got something rising. Not really. Let's try this. /support. Will this fit? There we go. Let's see if we can get that trending. And if we can get to the top of the board, it will rename him. Violent Bottom Hope. So I fixed something with the /support system with Cabal Aid, where it originally was not showing up the amount it's currently at and the position it's currently at on every call. I found out why. It was, again, a capitalization issue, but it should be fixed now. He'll do it himself, he says. Okay. Then we're going to have to find, again, it's attention seeking. We're going to have to find something which works. Or it's attention seeking and like desperation to gain agency. Will this fit? What does that mean? Oh, the size. Gay bottom hope, hopeless bottom cat. All right. Remains of the... yeah, I have that story. Thank you. Violent bottom hope. Did someone denounce it? No, why is it still at 0 then? That's weird. That might be a bug. Violent bottom hope. It should be the same. Let me have a look. Allowed. You capitalized it and I didn't. But that shouldn't matter. 2 of you supported it. Why is it still at 0? They should be counted as the same thing. It should be lowercasing it. That's odd. Did I spell violet wrong or something? No, I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, I'll look into that later. Yeah, but if you're supporting it, it should only add to it. It shouldn't subtract. I think I added a small amount to my account for just testing something, but like less than a penny at this point. But it shouldn't have gone from 1 down to 0 like that. That doesn't make any sense. I have to look into that. Someone with Cabal credit, do something. Has anyone like made something recently that I can give them some Cabal credit for? Wolf's always making things. By the way, the people that that contributed, you can have some Cabal credit. In fact, I'd like to give you some, but no one's letting me know who they are from the contributions. That's good, Mafaku. We can also do. Hope that's the old system. We can also do that. Sent you a bunch of stories and repository of a bunch of Amelia memes. True. Somnocy. There you go. Yep. There she is. Are you proposing that Amelia be made queen? All the contributors, says Arbla. Oh no. Almost tempted to give you some just for the daring of that ploy. That's on the old system, Hope. Guys Alt never contributes. Makes sense. Are you proposing that Amelia isn't already queen? Well, sadly not, I don't think, as much as it should be the case. She is a queen. So convinced that Amelia is a Fed. Nah. I mean, literally, she was made by the government. But if she was a real person, oh, you mean in the story? Yeah, she kind of acts like one, but you know the writers did not plan for her to be. You know the writers did not mean for her to be. Even if in real life, if that happened, she probably would be. In the story, she wasn't. She wasn't. Or was it a self-insert? Now that's even more interesting. Amelia self-insert. Okay, that is not. Also, that's something you might search on a different kind of website. That is not. That's not going to come up on Google. But let's see if it comes up here. Okay, that's a different kind of content entirely. It's a good thing that wasn't being recorded, isn't it? That's not quite what I was looking for. Click images for that search. Unfortunately, it did anyway. I don't think there is a way of just getting text posts and ignoring the ignoring the porn posts. The greatest heroes written by letters are just ineptly written as the intended villains. Yes. That is true. Aiden, yeah. The despite thing is very much an American thing. Even though when those stats are researched in the UK, you get similar outcomes. The 1350 thing is very much American. Link between tomboys and fascism. Interesting. Okay, fine. All right, good. Let's see what else there is. News stories. Yeah, let's make this a recording, because why the hell not? Yes, I think so. All right, so crows, eh? First murder, and now this. Man trains crows to attack Margahats after saying there's no longer a moral option. This, it seems, is the ultimate nuclear option. It's the crows. That's where every war ends. Training crows to steal hats. A man has gone viral after training a murder of crows to swoop down and snatch Margahats from unsuspecting Trump supporters, documenting his months-long experiment. Fascinating. Truly the news of all time. A person from my chat did say earlier, this is what you train them to do? Not steal money? Or something useful, but hats. Okay, interesting. Crows are smart, it's true. If you fly with the crows, says the Daily Star, this article's going to be a gem, isn't it? It's going to be really funny. It's going to think it is. You might just end up on the right side of history, they say. Especially if those clever birds are snatching Margahats for the greater good, they say. A man has ruffled some feathers, oh, knee slapper that one, after having successfully trained crows to swoop down on unsuspecting MAGA hat wearers. Taking to his Threads page, because, loads of people use Threads, Dave, who goes by the username biz_Dave, went viral after documenting all the steps and stages of his COVID training stages, showing how a handful of peanuts, months of patience, and a dash of political mischief turned local crows into red hat removing, quote, legends. Now, if you can't tell, this is the Daily Star, which is a communist tabloid. Right, I think so. MAGA hats and our red baseball caps emblazoned with the slogan, Make America Great Again, which has been a symbol of Donald Trump since 2016. Thank you. I didn't need that to be clarified. He's got normal red hats. What if the crows are like, oh, yeah, I'll get normal red hats for you, that's fine, but I quite like that Trump guy, so I'm not doing it if they have white text on them. Base crows. Amid Trump's polarizing politics, they say, and controversies, many Americans have been protesting against his administration. Less than actually support it, though. But Dave found a particular way to resist the Republican authorities. Did he now? Is this resisting them, or is he just punishing random civilians? After sharing numerous videos and photographs on social media showcasing the progress he has made with the smart bird, Dave has gone viral. Quote, this project has been going on for a little while, he explained. The kind of people who train birds to do things in real life are either, one, professionals who have some real need for it, often for like movies or something. Two, homeless or insane people. Usually both. What do we think this guy is of those two? Falconers, yes, but that's a very small category. I think that falls into the first category. He further admitted, I tried to be centrist for a long time, but I no longer believe that is a moral option. As a result, Dave has gripped the internet with his Trump-hating crows. When you say tried to be centrist, what you mean is you tried not to care, but you kept reading the mainstream press, didn't you? You did, didn't you? You did. That's why you went leftist, because you kept hearing their narratives. You didn't want to have to care because that's too much effort. The crow thing might have been the reason he started caring, actually. He thought, ooh, finally a use for my mad schizo hobby. As a result, Dave has gripped the internet with his Trump-hating crows. Gripped. It's been gripped, chat. Absolutely gripped. Through a series of Threads posts, which is obviously where you would go to grip the internet, Dave documented how a murder of crow... One? Only, it's not even a murder then! It's just a crow! Gradually became trained to recognize a designated feeding space before moving on to attacking Red Hate. Red Hate, yeah, good name for the fucking Star newspaper. After earning significant praise over his hard work, from whom many were left wondering how to achieve a similar anti-MAGA flying line. This is a crime, by the way. Harassing innocent civilians. This is criminal. The Star, just so you know. And you're convicting him here. As a result, Dave shared replies to frequently asked questions and instructions on how people could train crows to attack Red Hat. It's not a fucking step-by-step. It's quite complicated, I imagine. Like, less than for some creatures, but still fairly complicated. Filming themselves committing crimes. Exactly. Yeah, they just keep doing it. As a result, Dave shared blah, blah, blah. For starters, he said the food used, the crows will eat lots of things, but I recommend sticking to peanuts, chicken scraps, mealworms, and dog kibble. Well, that's what he eats. He continues, getting the crows to come regularly to the feeding place took the longest. That was about a 4-month endeavor. These are wild crows. He is just fucking homeless. He sounded like bought crows from a pet shop. They're wild crows. Once they were coming regularly, it was only about 3 months to get them to the hat removal stage. When asked about the birds getting potentially hurt, oh yeah, no, the birds getting hurt. Yeah, not random civilians. Not civilians wearing, let's say, sort of a dark red plaid hat. They just get fucking scratched up in the face by the crows trying to snatch the hat away. Not all red hats are political, though a lot of them are. Not only is this criminal, but that's even assuming that there's no collateral damage. Oh, we're doing it for defeating Trump. What about all the people that are wearing red hats that aren't MAGA supporters? There's just so many things wrong with this. When asked about the birds getting potentially hurt, Dave responded that he worried a little. He had taken a number of logical steps required to get from what he's doing to that outcome to make it unlikely in his mind. He wrote, I see that as more of a possibility than a probability. I appreciate your confidence in my ability to start a revolution, but I do not share it. Well, I don't either. Since sharing his crow training exploits online, Dave admitted that he has discovered that a surprising number of people are obsessed with the idea of birds shitting on things. Well, they're leftists. Of course they like that. However, he insisted that he had no interest in becoming a shit trainer and had no idea how to teach such a trick. Well, there is some mercy. There's a picture of a crow. Dave went on to share that his fascination with crows began like many others, hoping to coax the clever birds into bringing him trinkets. He's homeless. But after little success, he decided to channel his love of animal psychology and the desire for a bit of absurd resistance into a new goal, training crows to target and remove red hats. The crow lover's accomplishment has divided the internet, as on Reddit, which of course is where you would go for unbiased assessments. A person commented, "Okay, so I love this for the people wearing those red hats, but this would absolutely not be good for the crows." Of course, is that the best you can do, the star, to present some kind of balance here? Oh, well, fuck Trump, obviously, and kill everyone that likes him, but what if the crow accidentally slipped? It could get hurt. It's a crime, again. Rose, I really don't like pulling wild animals into stupid human shit like this. Well, that's fair, but it's not by any means the worst problem. They say, I don't find it ethical. Oh, not because you're stealing from someone or potentially hurting real people that aren't even wearing MAGA hats. No, you don't find it ethical because an animal is being involved in politics. Well, now who doesn't like things being involved in politics when they're not supposed to be? The shoe's on the other fucking talon now, isn't it? Especially since the risk of harm to the birds is very high, he says. Also, suppose someone is wearing a non-MAGA hat and they get attacked. A netizen argued, now, who fucking wrote this? While the idea of a flock of crows, it's called a murder, harassing my uncle is amusing, he says, there's the fucking psychopathy. There's this chart. It's once again this. If you would please consult the heat maps. Yeah, they literally care more about the crows than about their own human relatives, close relatives, their father's brother. They care more about a random crow than about their father's brother because their father's brother likes a politician they don't. He says, I don't think this turns out well for anyone, including the crows. Probably not legal, definitely not ethical, definitely not legal. Quote, kind of like training a dog for combat, doable, but kind of villain shit. You don't say. Someone else penned, now trade it to shit on the hat. A separate individual chimed in, to be fair, if crows were cognizant of human politics, they'd be doing this without trading. The fucking notion that all the fucking animal kingdom, you're not Snow fucking White. The idea that the entire animal kingdom shares leftist politics, if anything, the opposite. If anything, it would be the politics that humans have had for 99.9% of our history, which is far right of what we consider right-wing today, far masculine of what we consider masculine today, which is what right-wing politics are. It's absurdly feminine in the modern world. Absurdly. And you think the animal kingdom would support that? On what fucking grounds? Absurd. If a crow steals from a Chicago Blackhawks fan based on the hat color and its and its trainers are getting shot, it's some sort of Indian, Native American thing, I think. Birds of the world unite. Yeah, well, it is a communist outlet, isn't it? They probably think the crops are on their side. An observer added, they just upset someone can think of an effective strategy at deterrence. No, this is just a crime. It's not an effective strategy. We could just shoot you. Oh, that's an effective strategy at deterrence. Oh, you'd be really pissed off that we thought of that, wouldn't you? It's a crime. It's a lesser crime than shooting you, but it's still just a crime. Oh boy, it's a shame MAGA never planned ahead that we could just commit crimes against them. Wow, we really outsmarted them this time. Also, all the suburbs in America never gave a shit about a single bird, they say, so the hatred-wearing idiots can get a bird. It's going to be a bird-on-bird conflict. MAGA has to start training eagles to... I mean, that would be quite cool, actually. That would be quite fun. Or the police could just do their job, not even necessarily saying they're not. I mean, let's see what happens here. But finding this guy shouldn't be too difficult. I'm sure Zuck will give up his real name, given his Threads username, and they can just pay him a visit. Say, hey, sir, so we've heard about this thing happening. You'll say, no, that's bullshit. And they'll say, well, it is exactly what you told the press. You're nicked, mate. And then he'll be nicked, mate. Our hockey team named after Chief Black Hawk, who we defeated in the Black Hawk War. Big Black Hawk. Anyway, that's the article. I figured that would be a fun one. Frankly, we're doomed. MAGA is over. How can we compete with this? How can we fight this? We'd have to do something really radical, like not live near him or get the police involved. It's over. Anyway, chat, It's over now, but maybe we'll find a way to stick it out, in which case there'll be more content coming up soon. Stick around. There you go. 2 short-ish segments today, and I might do one more as well. I think I probably should do for any article that looks like it could be interesting. I'll just record that section. Mockingbirds attack crows. Well, crows are a good choice because they are smart. I think they are the smartest bird. Are ravens quite smart, or is it crows I'm thinking of? But I think ravens might be rarer. Thank you, Somnus. Hope, why are you saying that people should not be alive past the age of 30? That is quite a radical position. I think, chat, is anyone in approval of this? That in order to test the seriousness of your position, you should apply it to yourself, but stronger. So you should apply it to yourself with the age threshold of 24. Time to dance, Skiff. Yeah, we're nowhere near the end of the stream yet. We're not even 2 hours in. Yeah, Aiden makes a good point. If all people over 30 are going to be killed, how are children going to like mature? Do you think that people should all have children at 12 so that they can, be with them for the first 18 years of their life and then die immediately? Does that sound like a good idea? I want to tell him to lead the way and be the change he wants to see. Yeah, exactly. Right, good. Let's see what else we've got. There's some stuff here on Pam Bondi, who has generally been disappointing. At least. Hope is advocating mandatory fatherless behavior. He sure is. He sure is, isn't he? Yeah, Vil actually has an axe. So Hope, if you want Vil to be killed, you will have to get past her axe. Ghosts calling you a hag. What is it with fucking 38-year-old women in the server? Thank you, Michael, second name, Vic, who says, I approve of training crows. Who is that? Calvic? Don't know. Kaisel, the tips take a long time because it's still on the old system and it's supposed to run faster while I'm streaming, but something about the way it detects when I'm streaming or something about the way it changes the speed isn't working. So it's stuck on 5 minutes. I'm going to just write a system that, a totally new one that just deals with contributions. It will also be the system that throws the money at the contributor for Cabal Aid as well, for the Cabal economy. I will write that in the near future because that is annoying me as well. The code in Uzabot is actually okay as far as I can tell. It's the same as it always was. It just stopped working for and it's relatively complex code. It'd be awkward to change it. So I'm just going to rebuild it. Rewrite it in Rust, literally. But I will do that soon. For those that missed it, I've been working on a new system, which is releasing, well, it'll be available for public testing. Actually, it is now. I haven't told the moderators about it yet, but it's available for testing now. But it will only be usable by moderators and perhaps a few others. So most of you won't see it, but I'm quite pleased with it. It's a system to basically vote ban for the very rare occasions when someone needs to be banned, but I'm not here, say. Imprisoning them is one thing, but if they should be banned immediately, urgently, then having a way to ban them is a good idea. But of course, anyone that can ban everyone in the server. So be very careful with that. So I made a system to sort of regularize the process. So I'm quite pleased with it though. But no one will ever see it. Almost no one will ever see it actually in action. And how often we need to ban people in Cabal is extremely rare. So it'll be available, but it will be it will almost never be used. But it was something people felt we needed. So what if you make it so that when a mod bans someone, they also ban themselves? See what happens. Maybe. The thing is, if there's like a massive raid of CP posters, they will need to ban a lot. But what it does is for the first three they request to ban, it has a they each have to wait 10 minutes for them to enact. I may change the default time actually, but by default it's 10 minutes. So they request it, that will happen in 10 minutes, and other people can add delays. Other people can also say no, that kind of thing. Second person requests it, third person, third ban requested for different people. They'll all happen in 10 minutes from the request being made. After that, it starts to go in like a single file queue with much longer timeouts. So the fourth one is like 50 minutes. The fifth one is like an hour and a half, and so on. It keeps going up and up and up. So that eventually, if someone were to try and ban like 20 people while I was asleep, say, they could get through in 8 hours, maybe 5 or 6 people, rather than if I just gave ban permission, they could get through the entire server in that time. So that's why I'm doing it that way. I could even add it so that the more people that have been added to the queue, all of them increase in time. All of them get an additional delay if the queue is longer. I might do that. But for now, that is how it works. Maybe I could even have it so that after the first one, the time starts to increase significantly, rather than just after the third one. That can be brute force. Well, yeah, but the thing is, if I come back to my PC and I see a bunch of bans that shouldn't have happened, then I can run my command that freezes the system and then demote from moderator anyone that should be demoted from moderator if their account was hacked or they've gone rogue or something. The whole point, Arblar, is the slowing it down is to prevent brute forcing. And then, of course, I've got to unban a few people, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, if I were to just give moderators ban permissions, then yeah, they could brute force. They could empty the entire server while I was asleep, which is why I've never done that. Because that happened to Dr. Lehman's server years and years ago. But I've made my own command that allows them to do sort of deferred bans. And that command has cooldowns, has timers, has all kinds of stuff to prevent it from just being used too often. Right, good. I think, chat, Hope really wants my attention. Press 1 if the correct solution is for me to right-click ignore. And then he won't be able to get my attention anymore. Or I don't know, maybe some of you like the bullying to bring him into hosts.
Hi, Usalu. Hi, I'm able to speak in the chat. Hi. I don't know why I'm allowed to do this, but I have the permission.
I believe it's because you are a patron.
Oh. Oh, that's neat.
Difficult thoughts. No. Yeah, well, difficult thoughts, like... You've added a lot of extra things to this. Difficult thoughts could be, it's more of a therapist term than a political term. I get what you're saying, and that is what's happening here, but difficult thoughts is not necessarily wrong thoughts or thoughts difficult for the state. Though, of course, that is also what they're doing here, not deliberately. That's not what I mean. Fire wants us to think he likes the bullying. Yeah, every time I bully Hope, he comes. If the server gets brute force with CP, that could hamstring them. Yeah, that's the problem. The thing is, Arblar, they can still jail. That's the whole thing, is that they can still right-click timeout, and that will, with another new system, will jail that user. And they can also delete messages. So they can clear it up. The only reason for the ban thing is because if someone has posted CP and they're still in the server for like 8 hours before I get back, that doesn't look very good. So moderators felt that having ban of some kind would be a good idea. So I did that. That's the only reason for it to exist. So if you've got a lot of people coming in, if you've got a raid of people that all needed to be banned, then this would be too slow. But it would at least, they would still be able to imprison them and then delete the messages until I got back, at which point I could ban them. And even then, while I'm gone, if it happens while I'm gone, for the first sort of like 6 hours, or for the first 8 hours, there would at least be 5 or 6 banned in that queue. Make Amelia a mod. I wanted to code something actually, which I haven't been able to get around to yet, but it's a really cool idea that we could have done something with Amelia. I want to do that. Haven't had time yet, but that's something I want to do. I can't really tell you what it was, I suppose. Can't we just give mods the power to execute people via level 3 removal? Well, they already have that power via pseudo-democratic means through the enrollment system. You're unmuted still, Hope, unfortunately. Have a genuine empathy, basically read minds through observation of behavioral cues. What the left does not empathy, it's prediction of false. Use third parties twist on what they want to be true. I don't think the left has much empathy. No, psychopaths are drawn to power, and for years, cultural power has been centralized with the left. You will now see a lot of psychopaths like lurching back towards the right. I'm sure it was how it started happening. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says, I do not believe there's an AI bubble by any imagination. I question whether it is actually a bubble in the economic sense. It is certainly a big, it's a bubble-like in some ways. I just don't think it's the kind that can burst. And if it can, it doesn't burst entirely. It could take a downswing, but not entirely. It would still then recover and go back up again. The only downswing it's going to take is if the tooling doesn't catch up with the technology, which I think sort of is happening. Like not just the tooling existing, but the tooling being useful to people. But if that happens, if it takes a downswing because investment drops because it's not useful enough to continue investing in it, then that just gives time for the useful tools to be built, and then investment will pick it back up again when they want to improve the tools again. So that's probably the path it's going to take. A bubble would imply that all the investment is expecting demand that will not exist. No, the demand already exists. And the demand is what they're building is quality. Funnily enough, they're not just building quantity with this. It's not like they're investing to get more of something. They're investing to improve the AI systems, however much you think they are or aren't. They're trying to improve it. So the tools that already exist would just be improved by it. The tools, as they are already, are fairly good. A lot of things work well, but a lot of other things could work well if the AI was better. So the investment, it meets the demand. In fact, if anything, the demand is constantly for better AI tools, even from the mass public. So the demand exists. I think it's the amount of money going into it is huge, and the amount of money, the actual revenue is not there, but the demand is. The only reason the revenue isn't is because the investment is competitive. Every company is trying to get the best AI tool so that they can claim what revenue there will be in the future more. I think that's roughly it. There's the $10 trillion pot of gold that they're all chasing, which does most likely exist. That's the only question. If it didn't exist, then it's a bubble. If it does exist, then it's not. I think it does exist. Aiden says, the dark empath being a narcissist most commonly is not only able to empathize, but often excel at it. Narcissists must be able to empathize in order to manipulate. Yeah, I can see that. People narcissists manipulate are genuine empaths and neurotypicals because they experience empathy in a way psychopaths and Machiavellians do. Okay, so dark empath. So, okay, empathy I've always thought of as, okay, it's potentially two different things. Maybe this is where we're getting confused. There's the form of empathy where you feel the emotions of someone else. A lot of women have this. Then there's the sort of empathy where you can comprehend the emotions of someone else. So these two things mean different things, but the word empathy is used for both of them. If we're talking about feeling the emotions of someone else, those are generally going to be good people. Not always. You've got probably some borderlines in that category, but that's mostly going to be good people. Some autists would have that. Mostly women, though. If we're talking about the comprehend aspect, rationally, but not feeling it themselves, yeah, that's going to be quite common for narcissists, I expect. And rare for autists. So, yes, that's true. But then I think the dark empathy being that it's not always dark. Being able to comprehend emotions intuitively is not always dark. So I think we need different terms. And sympathy is in there somewhere, but I think that's more so for if there's something wrong specifically. So we need two different terms for those things. Because being able to intuit emotions without feeling them is not always dark. And being able to co-feel emotions is not always the same thing as being able to intuit them and understand them. You don't always come together. Even though if you have one, you're likely to have both. If you have the other one, you don't always have to have the other. Yeah, indeed, Hayden. But I think there's a critical lack of clarity in the vernacular for these concepts around empathy. We need the word compathy or something for when you automatically feel the feelings of other people around you. No, Aiden, I'm not talking about the concepts you're studying, though that is, of course, I'm sure interesting. I'm talking about the basic concepts, empathy itself. The concept of empathy meaning two different things, as I say. Unless I've misunderstood those terms. But those are two different things, critically different. And that distinction and conflation is relevant to the research you're looking at, I think. Well, the basics are 55 million years old in human nature, but once again, not quite what I mean. The language use, the conflation, it goes back as far as the term itself, I expect. Yeah, we could do that. We could say that sympathy is intuitively understanding emotions without necessarily feeling it. But that's not how it's used colloquially, so it's kind of misleading. So I don't know. Mars in Cancer. Yeah, I reckon I'd be a bit pissed off if I was in Cancer. Anyway, let's see what other stories we've got. I want to skip the one I had open because it's probably a bit boring and try and find something a bit more interesting. Let's take a look at the Cuban thing. The remains of the 32 Cuban bodyguards killed during the US raid to capture Maduro on January 3rd have arrived in Cuba this morning. Okay, two things. One, is it just a distortion or was that played really badly? That was very, I think the word is off key or it was discordant or something. That was terrible. Secondly, even if it was played well, that is not funeral music, is it? That sounded like a celebration song. It sounded like it's like anime, right? Because Japs have no idea what they're doing. They don't have intuitive sense of anything. When you get to the end of an anime and it's like a big emotional moment, and then suddenly the fucking daytime TV soap opera music starts up as the ending credits, some like bland, relaxing nonsense music starts up, which does not fit the tone at all. They understand how to make stories good sometimes, but they don't understand how not to do that for some reason. It's like that. Is it just everyone outside the Anglosphere just doesn't get that? Or do they have different standards? The music that sounds exciting and upbeat for a fucking funeral, a military state funeral no less, and played by idiots that have never played the instruments themselves in their lives. Is that what this is? Who's watched Dilbert cartoons? I never have before. But if you want to /support that, chat, we'll consider it. The ranking is going towards 1, but the total support amount is still showing up as 0. That's interesting. It is interesting. I guess that's a different bug then. I'll have to fix that too. We can do /leader user watch Dilbert cartoon, and that's where it actually is. Yeah, that's where it actually is. So yeah, okay, so that is actually a bug. I'm not sure why that's happening. I'll have to fix that one as well. The anime thing is because of how NIP TV rules and contract laws work in Japland, yeah. I'm sure it is something like that. But it's very fucking bad. If that is it, Solner, if the people that make the anime are like, God damn, I hate that we have to destroy this important gravitas moment with this shitty music, but we have no choice. It's the contract. We got no other way. If that's what happens every single time, then explain this. What are they doing this for? You can't even justify it on the basis that, oh, well, the Japs do it too. Why are they playing upbeat music during a funeral? Well, the music... Oh, it's still going. Okay, the initial fanfare was more upbeat than the rest of it, I grant you, but now it kind of just sounds like... It kind of just sounds like... they're over-dramatizing it. I mean, they are South American. I guess the bodies are in the boxes. Yeah, they must have had them cremated. The child soldiers. But yeah, that does sound terrible. How is it? How does it sound so bad? Is this the best musicians they have, or is it just a distortion? Some kind of weird mix between upbeat celebration, military march, and funeral dirge. Yeah, the pieces they could find, I guess. Maybe the bodies were fucking evaporated, and all they have left is the boxes. Aiden, I'm not good at playing a trumpet, but I'm not paid to play a trumpet, all right? So if I was, then I should be good at it. If I was the state's foremost trumpeter, then I shouldn't be shit at it. And yet they are. Musicians were the bodyguards. They had to get stand-ins. We let the sonic weapons keep running and the Cubans kind of burst like something left in the microwave too long. That's mean, but they were in the wrong place at the wrong time by their own choice. What a coincidence. The Cubans aren't paid to play either. No, I suppose not. Aiden says I can't blow my own trumpet. No, actually. No, I'm very humble. Chat would agree. Right, next thing. Second time he's seen protesters bothering someone who they thought were ICE because of the type of SUV they had.
Here you go. There, like I said, I don't have to do this. I'm happy to do this. That's all. We just got to stop this.
So he's got a lot of camera equipment. I think we can say this isn't ICE.
Yeah, I'm not. I tried to tell the First Lady, nobody believes me. That's all I can do is tell you. I already shot. Listen, first of all, I don't have to do any of that, but I'm kind. I respect what you are doing. Yeah, no. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I just don't understand the job, and I don't know how to do it.
Were you here yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, he was here yesterday. I can testify that. I didn't recognize him.
No, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
I'm not here to help you.
No,
I think the fact that you're in a vehicle like this at this
I
time
get it. But with all due respect to everybody, I can't help the way I drive.
Well, you can. You can go rent something else.
They're telling him to go rent a different kind of vehicle, even though he owns this one, so that he doesn't look as much like ICE. Jesus Christ. What a time to live there. And he's just like completely taking it. He's accepting this fucking, oh yeah, ICE are the fucking Gestapo. No, these people are the fucking Gestapo. ICE are responding to people being violent or at least obstructionist. This is just, well, your vehicle looked wrong, so we're going to stop you and check it. Papieren Sie bitte. Well, I'm sorry, you've had a bit too much to think about owning the wrong kind of vehicle. Go and buy a different vehicle that looks less like the one the police are using, even though you need a vehicle of a certain size to carry your cameras. Jesus.
I mean, if you're part of
Are you going to pay for it? That's not how it works.
This is my business.
I know, this is not how it works. So anyhow, I hope you guys understand. Not here to
He
cause any
was here with a video camera yesterday. I did see another vehicle with them, but I did see him with a camera.
Press badge when folks are talking to you on the side?
No.
Okay.
I told them I was with the media.
Okay.
And when people get irate with me, I have no choice to just roll out the window.
I think you gotta understand that like, people were kidnapped.
Well, it wasn't yesterday, because that's what we did the story on.
Sorry.
Let's just wrap this up, okay?
It was helpful. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's fine.
You guys the first time.
Let's just wrap this up so you know.
What a waste of everyone's time. I'm wasting your time by showing you. Except that it's hilarious that they're doing this at all. Good. Well, that's fucking awful. Eating their own. You may think, and I often hear this, that when the left eat their own, it's good for us. It isn't. What they always do that. It's like rats on a hot plate. They constantly think they're on a hot plate, so they kill the weakest rat every time. But that just increases the average strength of the herd. And the weakest rat at that point, they're not defeated. They don't just go away. They align with the majority policy. It's the infighting is not to defeat one faction. It's to absorb it, and then it happens. So in the end, they get stronger and more unified because of the infighting. That'd be good for them. But if only they were unifying on the basis of something that's actually, correct or a good idea. Whereas usually it isn't. It's whatever idea is the most pleasing to their brutal fantasies. What's this? Someone's linked this. as if to imply that it is of the same.
Is attempting to stop a Chevy Suburban by they themselves. Now, clearly, that is not possible. But now I'm curious, how many libs would it take to stop an SUV? Well, if a Suburban weighs 6,000 pounds, we can assume that the tires would withhold traction up to 80% of that weight, or about 4,800 pounds. If we factor in an asphalt friction coefficient of 0.65 and enough surface area touch points, the weight necessary to effectively stop an SUV is just over 7,000 pounds. Which actually should be good news for the people apparently addicted to standing in front of cars, because in people terms, 7,000 pounds is equal to just 7 blue-haired feminists. Or 1 J.B. Pritzker.
Very good. Music choice, though. That is insane, though. She is jogging in front of a car that's moving at a decent speed. And, like, it's not moving it's not crawling, it's a little bit more than a crawl. She's jogging in front of it and pushing. She never, not once, does she get the footing slightly wrong, tumble underneath it and just get run over. Because that would immediately happen. Not once. That's amazing that didn't happen. I'm not sure I wanted to necessarily, but I'm surprised it didn't. We'd be hearing about it, wouldn't we? Scanners get taken advantage of by third worlders. What is this? The 10 rules state. I haven't seen this before. Let's have a look. You're not to think you are anything special. I mean, that's a very neutral position, but sometimes you are. But you've got to be sure. So I guess 1 is a safe option. 2, you're not to think you are as good as... Who is us in this case? Us, what, of the state? As good as, I don't know. You're not to think you are smarter than us. Again, who's us in this case? Us is the group. Yeah, but who are they talking to then? Is this more of, if you want to be part of the group, you have to obey these? You're not to convince yourself that you are better than us. Okay, but isn't that 2, 3, and 4 are the same? 5, I don't think you know more than us. That, again, that's basically the same as 3, which means it's the same as 2, 3, and 4. Not to think you are more important than us is a little bit different. It's very similar. I mean, 6 is very, very similar to 1. To think you are good at anything, again, that's the same as 2, 3, 4, and 5. 8, you are not to laugh at us, implied by the others, but it is a bit different. You have to think anyone cares about you, which is also strange because some do. You have to think you can teach us anything, which again is the same as 2, 3, 4, 5, and whatever else I said earlier. That's dumb, whatever this is. I don't know whether this is meant to be a list of rules written to criticize someone or a list of rules written in earnest. It's dumb either way. If it's a criticism of rules, it's dumb. If it's written intentionally as deliberate rules, it's dumb. This is basically 3 or 4 at most rules, spun out into 10. So many of these are the same thing. Describe Scandinavian societal rules. If it describes them, it describes them very badly. That's what I'm saying. If it is meant to be, it's badly made. Whoever wrote this, whatever their intention was, whether to be good or to be a criticism, it's badly written. Because there's so many of these are the same thing. Like, this is just a first draft. This is, oh, I've got 10, but this is really just about 3 or 4. And there's way more things, I'm sure, that aren't included here as well. Daddy Bull, yeah, as you're saying, it's a parody. Yeah, that doesn't excuse it. A badly made parody is still badly made. That's what I'm saying. Whether it's a parody or whether it's deliberate, it's a badly made list. Because so many of these are the same thing. Pug says rules for stagnation. Yeah, it kind of is. But again, it's so limited as a set and so general. It really is just keep your head down. I mean, that's that it could be replaced by just that. This is what I mean. This is a first draft. All of this could be reduced down to keep your head down. And then you realize, oh, that's what I mean. And then you continue working on it. You continue developing what you actually mean, what you're getting at, and refining it into a good form. You add more things on. By the end, you could have 10, but they cover 10 genuinely different things where each one is different from the others, but is really refined to cover everything it intends to cover. Keep your head down could be 1. You may end up with only 5 to summarize entirely a neutral society like Scandinavia. You end up with 5 in total. And all of these would be covered by just one of them. Like, why? It's so badly written. You aren't allowed to point out the redundancy that violates several of those rules, which is part of the point, I guess. Aiden, you're misunderstanding. I'm not saying it's incorrect. I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying there's so much redundancy. It's just badly written. If this is written down as a journal, where every time you observe one, you write it down, planning to condense it later, but then you forget to do that. That's what this is like. A bunch of these are the same thing. It's just badly made. Whether it's a parody or not, it's badly made. Anyway. Badly made things can be funny. Yes. But mere redundancy, unless the redundancy is the point, it isn't. Now, if the redundancy is the point of this, it's like they're just trying to say, you're not better than us, you can't teach us anything, you don't know anything. I'm afraid that was lost. If that's what it's supposed to mean, that does not come through. Maybe it's a matter of a presentation, but then this presentation is bad. But that's the only way. If the redundancy is the joke, then it's badly presented. Otherwise, it's badly written. The repetition is part of drumming it in as a mindset. Okay, maybe that is the intention. Then I think you could present it better. What is Scandis are high trust and low egoism? Sure. Right, good. Well, I'm very glad that we covered whatever that was. Next thing. Yeah, that's crazy though. She was running in front of it like that. That could have been, at any moment, that was a second from her just tripping and going under it. It's crazy. Next up. This is the new Lara Croft. Are we pro or con? Yeah, yay. Y for yay, this is good Lara Croft. N for either nigger or no, this is a bad Lara Croft. These AI enhancements, says Pug. I'll send it over. You and Wolf can go to town. I don't like it, really. I think the face is very much wrong. Now, you're going to get the face perfect, but the face does not look like her. It looks like a totally different kind of person. I don't know if it's just me noticing or some personal bias I have, but the face looks to me like a leftist. Looks like a woke scold, as the term goes. I don't know. It feels like the right term for this. It looks like a busybody lib woman. She looks angry. I don't know if it's something about the jaw or something, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like Lara Croft at all. It looks like the leftist stand-in. I've also noticed something else that is not suitable for Lara Croft, and it's here in the middle. And it's just not sufficient, is it? It's not good enough. I'm not saying I want female characters to have big tits, but Lara Croft does. So she should in this. So they've chosen someone with, in my opinion, the wrong face for the job and the wrong other assets for the job. God, I hate this website. So, yeah, poor choice. I disapprove. Amazon's revealed a first look at Sophie Turner as Lara Croft in the new Prime Video Tomb Raider series. Oh, it's that woman. Isn't she the one from Game of Thrones? Yeah, she is. She was Sansa Stark, it says here. So she's actually doing something. My God. I had heard that she's not doing anything since Game of Thrones. Either way, yeah, I don't approve. What do the rest of you think? Not that I care much. I never played the original Lara Croft games, but I know 8-Bit cares. She posted earlier, meh, which is a decent response to this. Meanwhile, they cast the guy who played Thor in God of War Ragnarok as their Kratos. Okay, cool. Like, body actor or voice actor? Right. Next thing. It's happening, much like I expected, much like we all expected. Supply and demand. RAM prices have gone up, so SK Hynix, one of the biggest RAM producers, is making more RAM. investing $13 billion in a new plant amid memory chip shortage, a new advanced packaging plant as it expands production to meet rising demands tied to artificial intelligence. It is tied to that. As I said, I think the GPU prices and demand will gradually go down, though for the next year or two, it's going to go up a lot. But will gradually go down as technology changes and GPUs for gaming are less the correct tool for the job for AI. But RAM, I don't know, because RAM is pretty generic. It's not the same kind of RAM that's on GPUs, and it's not as fast as the RAM you'd usually use for AI, but you can still use it for AI. And while an AI model is not currently running, it's a good way of storing it. So the price of this probably won't go down as quickly as GPU prices. And so I think they can probably ramp up production. They can probably justify it more to ramp up production from RAM. But they better hope it's going to last, because if they ramp up production higher than they need to, they have to decommission the extra production after a while. I don't think that's going to happen, but that is one reason why they might be careful doing that. Yeah. So it's as we expected, but it should, both, okay. It should generally bring down RAM prices, but it might take a few years. A price crash would be nice. I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, I guess that would happen, yeah. Yeah, Eric, I'm feeling that. I think, yeah, this is good. It will take a few years for the price to come down. Let's see what we've got next. Going to the point where tech is topping out. No, never. I don't think we ever will. Even when we get to the physical limits of transistor sizes, there's still more tech that can improve it. And there's still other types of tech besides electronic transmission. We're nowhere near the point of topping out electric processing. We are at the point where FinFET transistors can't get any smaller. But that's quite a specific claim. There's other types of transistors proposed, even very similar ones to what we already use. And there's other types of, you don't have to use electric, you can use photonic, which is being developed and researched. There's even thermal, and never mind, fucking quantum as well. There's all kinds of other things. We're nowhere near topping out with these things. It's a fair question. I'm not saying it's a bad question, but no, we're nowhere near it. Next thing. Trump admin is preparing to use private military contractors to protect oil and energy assets in Venezuela rather than deploying US troops. Sources tell us setting up a potential boon for security firms with experience in region and ties to POTUS. Now, I am uneasy about the whole letters of marque thing. It's a cool idea, but it could go very wrong. Generally speaking, it's probably better to do it than not if you feel you need to. They haven't done it yet, but they might do. I think overall, given the state of the world, it wouldn't be a bad thing to do, but it's not the right way to solve a problem if you can do it properly yourself. But in this case, this might actually be the right answer. Because in order to take proper advantage of Venezuela, it needs to be stabilized. It needs to be somewhat westernized. The technology needs to be, the infrastructure needs to be improved. And for that, it needs to be stable. So you need a military presence there that can be trusted to actually run it for its assets, which will keep it stable. What you need then is a Western military. But we don't like forever wars. We don't like military occupations. The locals probably wouldn't like the US military hanging around there. So what can you do? Trump has figured, I assume, well, why don't we just allow private militaries to do it? They will be driven by profit. Now, could they mistreat the locals? Maybe, but a lot fucking less than Maduro was. But will they try to guarantee that the area is, in a state that oil companies can come and invest in it? Yeah, they have a profit motive to do so, I expect. Even if they're maybe hired by the oil companies, or their money's going in, or maybe even the US government pay them part of it to start the process, to make it possible. The US can have a presence there where it doesn't have to be a really precise presence, but they can have a presence there to stabilize the area so that the oil becomes available later. Because right now it's too unstable. We had ExxonMobil CEO saying it's uninvestable. Well, a military presence could be useful to try and stabilize it. So that's what I'm guessing is happening here. And it probably is a decent idea. It's going to be very difficult to convince people to send in military troops to occupy the area, and very hard to convince the locals to be okay with that as well. But private military contract is just there to protect oil companies doing it, even a lot of private military. Doesn't seem like a bad idea at all. Maybe I'm missing something, chat. Let me know.
Hey, Uzulu, question. Do you think that this will lead to a world that is closer in reality to Metal Gear Rising Revengeance or not?
Heckling was a mistake. I haven't played Revengeance. I don't remember the story.
Okay.
But private military private militaries they have a bad rap, and partly for a good reason. I don't know much about how they've actually enacted in practice, but I know mercenaries are generally a bad idea, especially for like defending your home country or for invading someone else, because they're motivated by profit. They're not in it for the outcome being good for their life. They're motivated by the profit. So, but for this is the kind of thing where maybe it makes sense, because what Venezuela needs right now is a fucking profit motive. They've had communism and subsistence for decades and tyranny. What they need right now is a free market profit motive to drive their country into being useful to the world. Yes. This could actually work. Play Army of Two, you'll love PMCs after that, or hate them even more. Yeah. So I could see this actually working. Vil says, can I form a privateer militia? Probably. I mean, in the US, that should be legal, yeah. What you could do with it is another question, but you could form it, I think. Higher local, it would be dirt cheap. Yeah, but it would also be incompetent. That's the problem. They could do both, though. I mean, that's the thing, Maveth. If you make it profit motive and the PMCs decide we'll hire some locals to help with this, here's the money, that gets the market going. That gets people involved, and it's still run by Westerners who have some idea of what they're doing. So that actually works. The issue with PMCs is they end up, I assume, many other issues as well, I guess, but the main one I would assume is they end up being abusive, especially because they don't know or like the people there, and they end up doing some corrupt shit as well. But that's still way better than what they've suffered under Maduro for the last few decades, isn't it?
Moderately so. It sucks to say that, but it is. You're right.
It's this 84-year-old grandfather tells me that he's joined a message board devoted to discussing cars. Based on the way he speaks, he had no idea what a message board was until very recently. She's in a post history. Obviously, false and ridiculous information. People reply. He doesn't know. Trolling, jerking their chain, scores down, posted to gut, passing out laughter. Yeah. Trolls have existed all throughout history. We are part of a long and proud line, chat. Some familiar names are being floated, including former Blackwater founder Eric Prince. I've heard of him. Discussions about how to secure those assets remain in the early stages, so I assume them in the oil assets. Still, multiple private security companies are already jockeying to get involved in the US presence in Venezuela, according to a person familiar with the matter. Interest is high given the potential payday. During the Iraq War, the US spent $138 billion on private security, logistics and reconstruction contractors. But that was useless in the end, and maybe it will be here as well. But Venezuela used to provide oil. And when you go into Iraq and topple their dictator, who wasn't that popular but was keeping the country stable, Maduro wasn't keeping it stable. Barely. But he wasn't using the oil assets at all. Or almost at all. And it was just decreasing all the time because communism. And he was starving his people. So it is a bit different. There are similarities, to be clear, but it is different enough that I think it's worth pursuing. But again, sending US troops in there would be very bad optically. But just letting it be private might be a good idea. Last week, the Department of Defense put out a request for information to contractors about their ability to support possible US military operations in Venezuela. If they're doing joint military and PMC, I'm less intuitively in favor of that. The person said, contractors are also in touch with the State Department's Overseas Building Operations Office to cite interest in providing security if and when the US Embassy in Venezuela reopens. Pentagon declined to comment on the story. If ExxonMobil is going to be reaping the profits from this oil again, then they can pay for their own security. That's what I'm saying. That's what it should be, yes. But if they're saying it's uninvestable, then you got to make it investable. Maybe they're only saying that so that the US sends troops there, so they don't have to pay for it themselves. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Trump could tell them no. Will they do anything about it? If someone's going to, if they don't, you could say it's an open market to everyone but Russia and China. Let Europe get in, and if ExxonMobil won't, then they will. Then ExxonMobil will move in quickly. I don't know. Speaking, though, of Europe and bad things. UK expands Online Safety Act to mandate preemptive scanning of digital communications. Well, this sounds fucking awful. The system demands machines make moral calls in real time. This sounds really, really bad. Let's see how bad it is. This is from about a week ago. This is from Reclaim the Net, which is a site I should probably use more often, but it's quite good for this kind of story. Major expansion of the UK's Online Safety Act has taken effect, legally obligating digital platforms to deploy surveillance-style systems that scan, detect, and block user content before it can be seen. The government's new Online Safety Act, which came into force on January 8th, 2026, designates cyber flashing and encouraging or assisting serious self-harm as priority offences, categories that trigger the strictest compliance duties under the OSA. Look, we've said this before, it's nothing new. Whatever they try to do to prevent something happening once will prevent things that no one wants prevented happening a lot. If they want to prevent every single instance of someone, quote, cyber flashing, they're going to have to prevent every single instance of someone posting a picture or even posting a fucking ASCII art or something. It's information. You can't control it that. And if you try to control it, people just move around it. You'll always find a way. And the very people that you're trying to hit here are the very people most willing to move around it. Everyone else affected by this wasn't cyber flashing, but is now screwed over by it and can't use the internet properly. Not that this isn't obvious to all of you, and not that they would care who they're hurting, but just to make it clear, the quote-unquote real reason for this, as many assume, is censorship, and it probably is. But I do wonder exactly what the balance of motives really is there. It might not even be intended for political censorship. It's now our magisterium. The government now has the ability to do this. They just want the ability to do it. Yeah, I mean, some of the stats, I don't know why that wouldn't have already been the rule. So, goes on, this marks a decisive move towards preemptive censorship, it says. Services that allow user interaction, including messaging apps, forums, and search engines, must now monitor communications at scale to ensure that prohibited content is automatically filtered or suppressed before users can even encounter it. Now, that's a mammoth task. Even companies like Discord or Elon, I mean, that whole thing's going on. Facebook, whatever other platforms. This is so much extra work. They might just rather stop doing business in the UK, at which point you'll need a VPN. Because that's what it'll be. The UK government aren't going to provide the processing. They might provide some tools. They might provide some information on how to do it, but they're not going to provide the processing. They are going to mandate that if companies want to do business in the UK, then the company has to provide this processing. Which means that, the UK has no right to tell international companies what they can and can't do. But you can just say, if you want to do business here, legally, you will have to do this. Well, at which point they have a choice. Either stop doing business in the UK, which is one of the world's biggest economies, or spend a fuckload of money on extra processing. They might just choose the first one. I'd be tempted to. Given I live in the UK, but I wouldn't be hosting it in the UK. Jesus. But it's such a stupid idea. Make a dossier on you so they can lean on you when you become a public figure. I'm sure that that's part of it, Pug, yeah, but I don't think that's all. And they could do it before. They could do that before anyway. AI automates this, but not reliably. Not even close. And it's loads of effort to do that. More likely there would be, at least initially, actually this step you can do very easily. You can have hashes of existing images. You can then hash the image before it's uploaded, check it against a bunch of existing hashes, which is a very, very quick process. And then if it matches any, then don't allow posting it. So that could be done, but that's for pre-known images. Now, you could have AI running at home, generating more of these hashes, but of course that's going to be inaccurate sometimes. But that's not what they're asking for. They're asking probably for more advanced detection. It's not just on images, it's also on text. So it's also on intent, which does require some sort of inference classification. All of this is completely stupid. Quite aside from being unreliable in practice and a massive extra workload, if they're not just requiring a fucking hash lookup, which is very simple, but they're not just requiring that. It's absurd. This is almost impossible, especially because it's of no benefit to these companies. Windows Recall, for example, massive extra workload for them, but they like it because they can do shit with the data. But this, it's just a regulatory requirement. It may even be in some cases that the money that these services are earning from being in the UK is less than they'll have to spend on enforcing these policies. Of course, like Facebook and other companies wouldn't mind doing it because they don't care about the censorship. Elon might actually like reject this on principle and be banned from the UK entirely, which they are talking about doing. To meet the law's demands, companies are expected to rely heavily on automated scanning systems, content detection algorithms, and artificial intelligence models trained to evaluate the legality of text, images, and videos in real time. The UK Department for Science, Innovation and Technology unveiled the changes through a promotional video showing a smartphone scanning airdropped photos and warning the user that an unwanted nude had been detected. Get out of my fucking devices. Blocking unsolicited nudes online. Just why do people have to be coddled so much? This is it. The government does not want to protect you. They don't want to help you to not see nudes. They want control over what's sent on the internet. And that's pretty obvious. But even when it comes to like, oh, it's about the kids, it's not about the kids. Like that's a convenient excuse. It's not actually about the kids. This visual captures the law's core requirement. Platforms must implement continuous background surveillance to identify and block flagged content, effectively converting private communication spaces into monitored environments. How are you going to do it on Signal, which governments use because it's encrypted? How are you going to do it there? You're not. Well, let's fucking hope not. In its official press release, DSIT said the new rules compel firms to take proactive steps to prevent this vile content before users see it, describing the measure as part of the government's strategy to halve violence against women and girls. Why just women and girls? This is the fucking problem. Why just if violence is done more against men than against women and girls? Assault is overwhelmingly committed against men. Why just? Because it's more sympathy. It's just easier. What? It's fucking gay. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall stated, "We've cracked down on perpetrators of this vile crime. Now we're turning up the heat on tech firms. You already did. Platforms are now required by law to detect and prevent this material. The internet must be a space where women and girls feel." Why just them? What the fuck are you? Do young boys deserve to be protected from pedophiles? It's just the more ridiculous a law is, the more they will use vaginas to justify putting it into place. Platforms that fail to comply face severe penalties, including fines up to 10% of global turnover. That's a lot. Or 80 million, whichever is greater, and potential service. That's the kind of fine that a company's, got a business levels of fines. That's ridiculous. And like 18 million. So if you're a small user-generated content site and someone uploads something that could be interpreted as a request to self-harm, you now owe the government 18 million quid. If your turnover is 0, you now owe the government 18 million quid for not preemptively banning it before it even appeared. That is absurd. Need a VPN. People in the UK. For unrelated reasons. And VPN is an acronym that means something else than what you think it does. I don't know what it could possibly mean. And obviously don't crime, but being in the UK and using the internet, your PC being in the UK and using the internet is becoming no longer tenable. If you are living in the UK and don't have a VPN, you are behind. You must get one. I don't think that's actually a crime necessarily. I'm just talking to this other guy overseas. He's retrieving the information from me and he's just passing it back. They'll go after the VPNs at some point. Like people kept saying they had been. They haven't yet, but they will. There'll always be a way, but it'll be more difficult. The question is like, how long will they have to do this? Will the next government continue these policies? They talk as if they don't want to. We'll see what they do. I suspect that they're trying to push all this stuff through while they have the chance. Labour and Conservatives acting by the same playbook, the globalist playbook. They want this stuff, and Starmer is so unpopular, there's no way of recovering it. So they're just trying to get as much of this stuff through now as they can before they go to the next government, which might do the same thing, but I don't think will. They certainly talk as if they won't. Bit laundering. Yeah, basically, that's what we're going to all have to do. Do not crime chat, but bit laundering. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. I think the UK is unfortunately the worst in the world at this particular thing. China and North Korea, perhaps. Melchizedek says it's another way to advantage big companies over small startups. It certainly is. In the fine, it certainly is, yeah. Strangling innovation is their specialty since the large corporations are easier to control. It's like Labour's going out of their way to, like, you think, oh, we're taxing the rich. Yeah, well, that will hurt innovation. Fucking over small businesses, that'll hurt innovation. But, the reason they're doing it is for more revenue. No, this seems like they're trying to destroy innovation. That's the main goal. It's just so absurd. It's like, that's all Labour can do, is give more money to people that don't deserve it and destroy innovation. That's all Labour can do. No wonder he's so fucking unpopular. I don't usually, I saw a thing which I don't think is true, but I don't think it's real, but it's probably true, that there was a poll that Keir Starmer's approval rating was lower than Adolf Hitler's while Berlin was being conquered and he was shooting himself in the bunker. Now, again, I don't think that poll was real. I think it was a joke post. But that's probably literally true, isn't it? That more than, 10% of Germany still liked Hitler after the war. Maybe just after the war. Yeah, I think so. Probably much more, actually. It may be that Starmer's approval rating was never even that high. His entire tendency. It's ridiculous. Quote, safeguarding minister Jess Phillips, oh yeah, she's the one you want to put in charge of censorship, said, for too long, cyber flashing has just been another degrading abuse women and girls are expected to endure. We are changing this, she says. You are expected to endure it because the alternative is this. It's locking down the fucking internet. You're expected to be able to observe a picture that someone sent you. Filter your fucking feed. You do it yourself. Don't make the fucking companies filter people out entirely from using the internet. And again, I'm not talking about cyber flashing. I don't really care about that. If there was a technology that could guarantee it was only filtering that out and could only ever filter just that out, maybe I'd be okay with it being used, but it's not. The collateral is the problem here, and the collateral is the majority of the effect in this case. The actual intended effect is the minority, which is, again, is often true, sometimes not. The goal of the system is what it does. Often true, sometimes not, and notably, don't assume it's always true, but sometimes that is true. It's a useful lens either way. In this case, I believe the goal of the system is not what is being proposed, especially because they're using vaginas to push it through. She added, by placing the responsibility on tech companies to block this vile content before users see it, we are preventing women and girls from being harmed in the first place. But causing everyone else, including many women and girls, to be harmed in arguably long-term a worse way. But better for you, but worse for everyone else. Well, not better for you for long. You won't be in government much longer. Behind this framing, however, lies a bigger structural change: routine surveillance of user-generated content. Compliance will require platforms to perform mass scanning of messages, images, and uploads across their networks, even in spaces traditionally regarded as private. Such measures risk capturing lawful communications and chilling legitimate expression, as automated filters often misjudge intent or context. They sure do. If you're speaking freely in really any Western country, especially European one, you should already be using a VPN for all of that. This is Jess. The male suicide rate is a laughing matter. Phillips we're talking about here. It is, yes. That is the one. That is indeed her. Actual misandrist politician. Such measures risk capturing law by requiring companies to predict and prevent illegal content before it appears. That the UK is embedding a model of proactive censorship at the infrastructure level of online communication. This positions large sections of the internet under continuous monitoring, with user privacy treated as a secondary concern rather than a fundamental right. That is a decent summary. It is. I didn't think they were going to go this far. Like, if someone had said they're going to start requiring that it be censored before it even appears, I would have doubted that they would even go that far, because it's absurdly unachievable. But they are. I mean, imagine like someone posts an image that is a cyber flash, but it wasn't picked up by the filters for whatever reason. If things get through sometimes, suddenly you're 18 million quid in the fucking hole because of that. UK government finds it. It appeared, let's say it appeared for 1 second and then was taken down. 18 million in the hole for that. That is absurd. I mean, if you have to run a fucking AI inference on every single message before it gets sent, that is company destroying. only the very biggest companies could even consider affording that. And it might cost more than they earn from being in the UK market in the first place. But small companies certainly can't. It's absurd. So yeah, there you go. What a silly idea. Go to the next thing. Got quite a lot more stories here. More than I think we're going to get to today. Yeah, so apparently the leader of Venezuela isn't the one we thought it was going to be. Or interim leader anyway. This morning, Trump says, I had a very good call with the interim president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, which is not the one who was like really simping for the Jews, though I don't know much about Delcy, she might be as well. He says, we are making tremendous progress as we help Venezuela stabilize and recover. Many topics were discussed, including oil, minerals, trade, and of course, national security. This partnership between the US and Venezuela will be a spectacular one for all. Venezuela will soon be great and prosperous again, perhaps even more so than ever. But well, it's a nice idea. It should be, with Maduro gone, it should be possible. Speaking of Trump, though, the Venezuela thing I think was overall a win for Trump. This, not so much. MAGA furries took over Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago dressed as dogs. Why?
And the way you look tonight.
So the correct answer, I think, is this is just rich people being fucking weird again. The fact that it's at Mar-a-Lago, like, Trump doesn't organize every single event at Mar-a-Lago himself. This is probably just rich people being fucking weird. But yeah, it does like kind of a cult, doesn't it, Aiden? And like, wealthy cults are the worst because no one's trying to stop them. They're embedded in all the highest, cleanest places, filthing them up with this kind of shit. I don't think this is even furries. Now, it might be, but I don't think it's even furries because these aren't the traditional fursuits. Because, you know, fucking, I don't want to get too much into this, but furries are people that grew up as kids and they saw the cute anthropomorphized animal on the Disney movies and that triggered their fucking sex drive, which is why they look like cartoon animals, not real animals, right? These don't look like those normal furry aesthetic. They look more like the actual animal, which implies to me that this is just some weird rich cult thing. Rich people do this all the time. They're always pushing the boundary because they're fucking bored. They've seen everything. And that is lamentable and just kind of disgusting, but it's also how society's always worked. It's always done this. So that's kind of normal. The fact that it's happening at Trump's resort doesn't look too good for him, does it? But you get people who they're not rabidly leftist. You use the word rabid here, was intentional. They're not rabid leftists, but they're not actually conservative, Republican, or pro-Trump either. They're just politically neutral, or maybe they lean left or lean right, but they don't really mind that it's Trump's resort. And that's all you need for this. It's not necessarily political. It's not that Trump organized a furry party and all of these people are MAGA. Hey, look, there's Pam Bondi in a fucking Labrador suit. No, it's not that. This is just random rich people going to a resort. People that really hate Trump might not attend, but otherwise, that's about the only filtering you do for politics. Sick degens, I think so. Trump's lavish Florida residence Mar-a-Lago played host to the American Humane Society's 15th annual Hero Dog Awards Gala, one of the first charitable events the venue has hosted in 2026. But the gala drew some attention for the wrong reasons. Along with raising money for hero dogs, the event was attended by furries dressed in 18th century. Again, I'm not sure if that's true. It might be. We aren't kidding, they say. Attendees were filmed dancing and we assume laughing under their furry dog masks, Marie Antoinette-style gowns and Louis XVI tights. Not all those who attended the event wore the furry masks. Many were seen in black tie, but the showstoppers were the furries. Yes, I don't think these were actually furries because the theme is different from how all furries dress. The community has continued to grow with many furries. Again, it's just kind of furries here. Unclear if the furry spotted Mar-a-Lago were actually part of the community or just dressed up to entertain guests. Nevertheless, they hear people talking. Yeah, it's fucking cringe. There's more of them here. They do not look like furries. They look like the actual animals. So a dumb story with disgusting features, but I don't think it's actually politically relevant. I don't think it's furries under Trump. I think it's just a stupid fucking cultish party where a few people dressed up weirdly. Look like horror masks. Yeah, they do actually. There are unfortunately multiple different strains of furry. Well, perhaps, but all of these are of this strain, which implies to me that they're not necessarily furries. But they might be. Maybe this is the high society version of the furry. Merchandise says, it's cringe, and they probably aren't furries for real, but we can be magnanimous and put them down too. I wouldn't jump to the defense. All right. Quite a few more stories. But I think we've been going for about 3 hours now. Yeah, I guess so, maybe. About 3 hours, and the number of viewers remaining is relatively low, which I've been noticing a lot. It's been happening a lot more on weekdays, a lot less on weekends. I'm not sure why that's changed exactly. But I might wrap up a little bit early today, and we'll go and do something in Cabal instead. I did get 2 recordings today, after all. We could do a movie or something. We actually, since Aiden is around, we could do that. We had Star Trek Beyond queued up. We could do that and maybe a couple of movies. So we could do a bit of a movie night. Would you guys be up for that? Or is there anything else you'd like to do instead? Because Beyond, I was surprised it got the votes, actually, but it did get the votes for... Or we could do Stargate, or we could do something else. Either way, if you're on YouTube, hop into Cabal, even if I do decide to go on for a bit longer. Hop into Cabal. There's more stuff to do. I see that there's a lot of comments on YouTube I didn't notice. Apologies for that. I should get that feeding into Discord. My bad. But yeah, I think we'll wrap up there. Thank you for joining me. I'll get back to the rest of these stories on Saturday, and either way, we'll hop into Cabal. You've added armor to that one, Somnus. You didn't used to have that armor. Like being a purist of like Beyond, it's the only new Trek movie I like. I don't think you've seen the Strange New Worlds episodes, have you? That are actually good. There are a few. We should try them as well at some point. Yeah, there are a few good ones. There's a lot of bad ones too. I don't know if you'd be willing to watch the bad ones as well as the good ones, but they have a bit of both. New stuff later coming. No, I have not. Nor do I particularly want to. But yeah, maybe I'll start doing somewhat shorter streams on weekdays because there's less viewers around. Do longer ones on weekends. Right. Anyway, thank you for joining me, chat. I'll be... Wait for our lives to be over. What is that? Is that a quote from Starfleet Academy? I haven't seen anything about it, and I don't really particularly want to. Yeah, I'll see you again for Saturday's stream, T's and S's, and then also for Sunday's stream. And either way, I will see most of you in Pit 1 just after the stream, where we will find something cool to watch after a bit of chatting. So if you're on YouTube, hop in to Discord, join us there. And otherwise, I will see you, well, tomorrow for me, but in 2 days for most of you. Good night, everyone.